Yes, boy. How's it going? Do you know, I was just saying to you there just about 30 seconds. Do you know how we were talking, was it last week, and you says there's a thing online, how to maximise your holidays?
Yeah, you book certain days at certain times and you get longer times off. I think you can book like 7 days or 5 days and get 2 weeks off.
Yeah, it's just how to get the best use out of your holidays. So if you do have holidays, if you're self-employed, it's a bit tricky. But otherwise, it's good.
Have you booked anything off the back of it?
No, but I want to go on. Like, I know it's there now, so I'm going to do it. You know? That's a
I
good
didn't
job.
take all of my holidays last year, so...
Did you not?
No.
Can you carry them over?
No.
No.
I'm just too committed to the cause.
You used all your... You were off quite a bit last year.
I wasn't.
How many holidays do you get?
Don't know, but I didn't use them all. 20 days?
I think you get 22.
Maybe, but I didn't take them all.
Did you not?
No.
Dedicated?
Just dedicated.
Come here, the show you were watching last night, you watched 2 episodes?
Oh, yeah. What's it called? Fool Me Once?
Fool Me Once?
Yeah.
Good.
It's all right, yeah.
It's all right.
You like it. You love it, though.
I do.
You can't wait for the weekend.
No, I can't, because it's hard to beat something that you look forward to watch. And you'd always give me the heads up what's good to watch, do you know? But yeah.
So I started watching it last night as well. It was all right. Like we did. I didn't watch it on my own. But yeah, it's interesting to see how it'll play out. It's on Netflix.
How many episodes altogether?
I don't know. Probably 6 or 8.
Is that it?
8, yeah. Have you watched it, Michaela? 1 second. Have you watched it?
Yeah, finished it.
All of it?
Dead.
Yeah,
Is it any
like
good?
over 3 days. Yeah, I liked it.
Well, if you watch it over 3 days, you're a busy person. So
But yeah, you could binge it in 1.5 days, maybe.
maybe.
Yeah, no, it's very good.
How many episodes altogether, Michaela?
8.
8, right.
What would you give it out of 10?
I'd give it 9 out of 10 because I was a bit disappointed in the ending.
Oh, don't say that. Don't say
But
that.
it is really good.
But
It is
she
very
was only
addictive.
1 out of 10 disappointed. I have, you see, you can't spoil it, but I have my suspicions, although I don't think what I suspect is true because they've kind of said it, and it's unlikely that, isn't it?
Aye.
So.
There you go.
All right, okay.
Good
so
luck.
you're not going to watch it till the weekend, are you?
No, well,
You're so
yeah,
disciplined.
No, but I have to.
Right.
But it'll be good now. It's good viewing on Friday or Saturday night. Something to look forward to, you know.
SRH is still going in the
I
background.
let them sing on.
All right, then. Come here, Lee. Have a good day. We'll chat to you tomorrow. Wednesday again already, my word. Okay, it's not yet Wednesday. Wednesday is tomorrow. Okay, it is just after 9. The Donington Noon Show is just around the corner. But first, it's a news update, and it's over to Michaela Clark.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. It's been confirmed that the Banking and Insurance Redress Focus Group will continue its work. That's despite an announcement in recent days that the Redress Focus Groups were unable to carry on due to a lack of resources, support and assistance. Members of the Banking and Insurance Redress Group have been invited to a meeting with the subgroup established by the Department of Housing to examine issues relating to the mortgageability of homes remediated under the defective concrete block scheme this Thursday. Spokesperson Patrick Sharkey says the group will continue in their efforts to see remediated homes brought to a mortgageable standard.
Thursday's meeting is an initial meeting. We envisage that it would be a process which will continue with regular meetings. So we're going to continue with our work. We are in engagement with each of the main lenders, the Irish Bank and Culture Board, the Central Bank. It was very hard work and difficult to get that engagement up and running. So we want to continue with that, and that's our intention.
Action is being urged to prevent more nursing home closures. An ESRI report shows 50 homes closed down between 2018 and 2020, with providers blaming staffing difficulties and financial viability. The report revealed Donegal has one of the lowest supply of nursing home beds per capita, with 204 more long-term residential care beds needed in the county to meet the national average. Tag Daly is the CEO of Nursing Homes Ireland and says he can't see 2024 being much better for the people he represents.
Confidence is seeping away from the sector, and while there is some development, all of those developments would have been either under construction or pre-funded. But in reality, I'm hearing from members that no new development, no additional capacity will be provided in the current funding climate.
Police have confirmed an improvised explosive device was found during a security alert in Derry. The suspicious object had been found at a property in the Bars Lane area yesterday morning, which resulted in a number of homes being evacuated as a public safety operation was carried out. The device has been taken away for further examinations. Government ministers are due to sign off today on laws to reduce the supports given to Ukrainian refugees. State accommodation would only be provided for 90 days, while weekly welfare supports will be reduced from €232 to €38. It's expected the changes, which will only impact new arrivals from Ukraine, will be passed by the Dáil next week and be law by the end of January. Finally, for weather, cold and frosty with some icy patches this morning. Clyde will gradually break up with some good sunny spells developing. Highest temperatures of 2 to 4 degrees. That's all from Highland Radio News for now. We'll be back with news again at 10 o'clock. Until then, good morning.
Whether you're adventuring, salsa dancing, or you just popped out for some milk, you're not always home. With An Post, that's not a problem. You can set up a safe spot for us to put your deliveries when you're not in, or rearrange delivery to your local post office. And if something's not right, you can quickly return it with a collection from your door or drop at your local post office. Online shopping made easy with An Post. An Post, for your world.
The county's #1 talk show, The 9 till Noon Show on Highland Radio. And now it's time for the talk of the Northwest, The 9 till Noon Show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
Good morning. It's approaching 6 minutes past 9 and we're live for another Tuesday. This one, the 9th of January 2024. You're very welcome along to the 9 till Noon Show here in Highland Radio with me, Greg Hughes, and... well, we've a busy one lined up for you as always. Later on, Community Garda information, where you hear the latest appeals and information from Garda Síochána first. And we're across all the big stories, both locally, nationally and beyond. The lines are open for you to get involved in the conversation. Trigger your own on 086 60 25,000, 086 60 25,000, or give us a call on 07491 25,000. And if you want to email the show, comments at highlandradio.com. If you want to watch the programme as well, if you're at home or wherever you are and it suits you to do so, don't forget we're on YouTube, so you can open up your YouTube app on your smart TV or your Fire Stick or your Google TV if you have one of those, and just type in Highland Radio Ireland. Subscribe to it, it's handier that way, and watch us there. You can take us across your mobile devices on YouTube, and we're on Facebook, Highland Hub, Highland Radio News and Sport, and we're on X/Twitter as well. Okay, let's start with a look at the front of the pages. In fact, what we're going to do is go straight to the back page of the Irish Daily Mail, because as we were flagging on the programme with Oisín yesterday, Jim McGuinness might be back winning matches, but his second coming as Donegal manager isn't exactly going to plan after he was hit with a proposed 8-week sideline suspension when Donegal thumped an experimental Armagh by 3-16 to 1-6 in the first round of the Dr. McKenna Cup last Wednesday. It looked like the perfect way to officially launch a new era for the man who guided Donegal to the 2012 All-Ireland. And yet, the one big detail got lost in the print of that win, promising young player Finbar O'Rourke's date of birth. Competition rules for senior inter-county football state. Players must be 18 by the start of that calendar year to be eligible to play. The Niamh Connell teenager was just shy of his 18th birthday when he featured, and what seems like a simple error on Donegal's part could cost them dearly. McGuinness has been hit with a proposed 8-week suspension whilst the player... and I'll just go back into page 46. Whilst the player himself has been suspended for 2 weeks, McGuinness has already suggested an appeal against any ban is likely after his Donegal squad beat Tyrone by 15 points to 110 on Sunday in the second round of the competition. We'll talk about that, of course, a little later on. Interested in your views out there. A lot of people online seem to think that it's sour grapes as to why there's such a heavy suspension, but it is a rule that's been in place for quite some time as well too, so we shall wait and see. Donegal Democrat this morning, a technical report is awaited in the case of a man charged with a hit-and-run collision in which a 9-year-old boy was killed in Bundoran. Sergi Kelly has been charged in connection with the September collision that resulted in the death of Ronan Wilson from Kildress in County Tyrone. Ronan was killed in the incident on Atlantic Way at around 9:20 p.m. on September 23rd, 2023. Kelly, a 23-year-old with an address at Upper Mullaghmore, County Sligo, has been charged with 3 offences under the Road Traffic Act and is currently on bail under strict conditions. On to the Independent this morning, and almost 1 in 5 small family-run nursing homes shut down in the first 3 years of the pandemic, leaving many older residents now under the wing of a few for-profit private operators. financed by international private equity, a new ESRI report warns today. The largest operator in Ireland is Orpea, which is effectively owned by the French state after safety concerns led to it coming under the control of that country's investment fund. Between February 2020 and December 2022, there were significant closures of small homes, mainly in rural areas. There's been a consolidation of private-for-profit long-term care operators driven by recent entrants into the Irish market, who are mainly financed by international private equity, and these opened several large facilities recently, the report said. Now, the current concern is in rural Ireland, will there be spaces available for a population that thankfully is growing older and would need those services, or are they going to be more centralised where the profits are bigger, and so on and so forth? That's certainly a concern. The Irish Times this morning, Sinn Féin MLA Jerry Kelly has said he will study the judgment handed down in the High Court in Belfast yesterday, which labelled a defamation case taken by the former IRA man as an abusive process and criticised his legal action as a SLAP, that's SLAPP. It's a legal action taken to discourage legitimate scrutiny by the media and political opponents. But Sinn Féin did not comment when asked if the judgment would prompt any change in the party's attitude to defamation action. Leading figures in the party, including the president, Mary Lou McDonald, have taken defamation action against media outlets and political opponents in a trend criticised by the National Union of Journalism and free speech groups. Ms McDonald defended the practice in a series of interviews over Christmas, but there is known to be growing unease about the political backlash against the party for the spate of legal actions taken in recent years. We'll get something on that before the end of this show. On to the Irish Independent now, and you might remember the riots in Dublin. You'll remember the scenes, won't you? Well, the Garda investigation is ongoing, and there's an update in the Star. Gardaí now have 150 people in their sights for prosecution over the Dublin riots and are working to formally identify them. The paper has learnt that a special unit set up to catch the thugs involved in the riots in the capital last November have amassed almost 20,000 hours of CCTV to help track the suspects down. We have established, that being the paper, that Gardaí probing the November 23 disturbances have a hit list of at least 150 suspects they've isolated on camera being involved in rioting, looting, arson and assault attacks. And perhaps, ironically, some of the best footage, in inverted commas, or some of the footage where people are most easily identifiable is from citizen journalists or self-styled or self-labelled citizens journalists who are often on the ground in amongst the crowd and filming all the faces. So that'll be very useful to the Gardaí, I'm sure. A source said last night there are more than 150 suspects and work is underway in identifying them. As I said, far prefer close-up mobile phone footage to be going through than far distant CCTV. So you can be sure they've downloaded it all from social media. On to The Sun this morning. Prince Andrew appeared in sex tapes filmed by his billionaire friend Jeffrey Epstein, bombshell court papers alleged yesterday. The claims, later retracted, which is quite important, heap further embarrassment on the beleaguered royal. A victim of Epstein also claimed to have seen ex-US President Bill Clinton and billionaire businessman Richard Branson having sex with a woman in the secret footage, which it's been claimed doesn't exist. The incredible allegations were disclosed in the latest tranche of papers that have detailed King Charles's brother taking part in an orgy on Epstein's private Caribbean island. What incredibly unpleasant people, whatever they are, to have been involved in all of that. And the sooner that or alleged to have been, according to the papers there, the sooner all of that is exposed, the better. The Irish Daily Mail, the front page, protesters will be emboldened into challenging the government to change its plans on the arrival of asylum seekers into the area, politicians fear. Last night, Tánaiste Micheál Martin insisted that despite plans to house 50 male asylum seekers in Ballinrobe and Mayo being shelved in favour of moving families in instead, this was not a U-turn. But the protesters who demonstrated against the arrival of male asylum seekers declared victory after the Department of Integration announced its change of plan yesterday after days of protests. And the plans were changed overnight, really. If I was following it relatively closely. The plans were effectively changed overnight. And then some who initially sort of triggered the protests said, right, that's it, we're off. And then others said, well, where are you going? This isn't over yet. And there's a bit of infighting going on down there, finger pointing and accusations, ones turning on each other, and so on and so forth. On to the Mirror, lastly, and Pope Francis has called for a universal ban on surrogate motherhood, which he branded a stain on human dignity. The pontiff said unborn children must be protected, not turned into an object of trafficking. In an annual speech at the Vatican, he added, "I consider despicable the practice of surrogate motherhood, which represents a grave violation of the dignity of the woman and the child. And as war rages in Ukraine and the Middle East, the Pope warned global peace is being increasingly threatened." But I'm quite surprised at him focusing on surrogacy. It's not something I've really heard of any major controversy in the past, and he chose to speak about it. He wasn't questioned about it, but he says it's a stain on humanity, which seems very strongly worded, but maybe that's the mood of the wider public out there. Rightio, 086 60 25,000. That's the WhatsApp and text number. The calls come through to us, of course, on 074 91 25,000.
The newspapers are courtesy of Kelly Centra Mountaintop Letterkenny, the C-Store National Large Forecourt of the Year for 2022. The 9 till noon show brought to you by Kelly's Toyota Port Road, Letterkenny, stockists of a wide range of used passenger and commercial vehicles.
If the medical experts get it wrong, everything changes. From misdiagnosis or delayed diagnosis to surgical injury or even poor treatment, all have physical, emotional and financial consequences. We're here to help. So if your treatment didn't go according to plan, speak to our experienced medical negligence team at McElhenney and Associates. Find us online or call 074 917 5989. McElhenney and Associates Solicitors, Stranorlar. In contentious business, a solicitor may not calculate fees or other charges as a percentage or proportion of any award or settlement.
Harkin Fireplaces in Lifford is lighting up the new year with their massive January yard sale. Discover an impressive selection of fireplaces, stoves, electric fires, gas fires, and elegant kitchen worktops, all on sale. Don't miss out on your perfect fireplace or kitchen worktop at an unbelievable price. Harkin Fireplaces' massive yard sale is now on.
So he was like messaging me all night and then he just ghosted me.
No way.
Yeah. He was like, "You're so hot, I want to come over."
Okay.
And I was like, "Cool." And he was like, "I'm on my way, driving over right now."
And then?
Nothing.
Phone use while driving can be deadly. Your phone, it won't kill you to put it away. From the Road Safety Authority, visit rsa.ie.
Highland Radio time checks with Expressway. Travel Route 32 from Letterkenny to Dublin when you book online and travel for less. Expressway, bringing you the time at...
The time's just turning 18 minutes past 9. We're joined on the programme now by Paddy Diver, who's a campaigner on the defective concrete issue and, of course, a homeowner affected by this crisis. He joins us on the programme now. Paddy, good morning to you. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning, Greg. Happy New Year.
And same to you, Paddy, and the family. Obviously, there's ongoing frustration, but you've taken to social media platforms to express your frustration and the frustration of others as it relates to this scheme. And you seem to be concluding, Paddy, that it's actually designed not to work rather than to work.
No, I am on the same page as you there. I could be in that Highland or in a 100% read this page once every couple of days complaining about something, but then you feel bad you're just complaining instead of doing something. But the frustration out there of the people, that's shocking. Like they've been treated like Jesus, their mental health is to an all-time low. The amount of paperwork and time, and then they're worrying about their children and they're trying to get their houses fixed. There seems to be no help. Like I've been chatting to the pensioners, say the vulnerables for one example, for South Belfast. The poor woman's gone into the last rollout of her life. And this is the worst Christmas she's ever had in her life. You know what I mean? Like, that should not be happening on the last rollout. She was messed about the whole way for the last 6 months by the Donegal County Council. She was in stage 3, ready to get the figure that she has to work with, and then she can give it to a contractor. She never got it in time for Christmas. So the urgency that was supposed to be there for vulnerable, that's an absolute shambles, because there's people that's on stage 1 that they're getting news now that they're bypassing stage 2 and they're getting on to stage 3. So there's nothing there for the vulnerable that there was supposed to be, and that's not acceptable. Like, I'm not just talking about pensioners. There's a lot of other people that come out there under the vulnerable category, and we always knew this was going to be right. And that's the problem with the Donegal County Council, with the project plan of it, the rollout plan of it. Until there's a good, decent team involved in this that's got the common sense to say, right, category 1, we need to make sure there's vulnerables are looked after here first, and then you go through the list, because the list is long, and if it's a scattered effect like this here, as you just take it as it comes, well, people slip through the net, like a pensioner slips through the net, and the sad reality of this is, that's what people should just take a step back and just wait and listen. If one of these pensioners slipped through the net, and God forbid she passes away, that house does not go to her family. Their family is inheriting a lump of rubble, rack and ruins, and that's just not right. Like,
it's a hard way to sort of it's a hard way, isn't it, to live your life with that concern, hanging over your head.
That's a mortal sin. That's what it is. Hey, that's a mortal sin, and the amount of them is there that's doing it. Will I get my house fixed before I pass away? Like, that's an absolute disgrace, a way of looking at it, and that's what makes me so angry and frustrated. And a lot of that is to do with the county council, and there's not me and ranting away, but kind of getting an easy target, because the government are the biggest culprits here. But like, if we just stick to the points of the council first, and go on to the government then after, like, the amount of phone calls that I be getting of people, like, the accessory grant, like, it's over a year now that there's people out there and they're looking for the money back for their mobile homes or their rental agreement. That's the people that's already been on the scheme. It's kind of, there's some of them kind of has got their heating on in the house. They have no money for their mobile home at this stage. They have no money for the rent. Like, that's absolutely pathetic.
And it's not being processed quick enough.
No, it's not been processed quick enough. It's not even on their portals. They haven't even got a program to do it. It's not even on their website of how to get the money quick enough. So if that's the case of them people, what can happen when a builder comes? Now, I'm hearing rumours some contractors don't want it because they think the money's not going to come quick enough. That's 10% at the end's going to kill them. They have no timeline when they're going to get it. They've got 40%. They could 10%. Right, that's say on the biggest cap, that's 42,000. They have no timeline. Is it going to be a month after? Is it going to be 2 months, 3 months? Is it going to be 2 years? There's a lot of them builders that might only have an overdraft to the bank of, say, 80,000. That means a man can only do two houses at his max. So it's designed there bad for them, and I know that's not the council, that's the government side of stuff. But in the council side of stuff, like, really and truly, the councillors, they're the people we represent. They're the people that should be fighting for us. Not the homeowners fighting all the time, because people don't like listening to us. Oh, we're only homeowners. So if a councillor were fighting for us, not one of them has the nerve to stand up and say, listen, I'm resigning. Headline news, I'm resigning away from this party, because this is not the kind of party that I thought that I actually signed up to join, a party that was going to look after the people. Because most of them councillors just sat back in their seat, taking the money. When Darrell O'Brien, the Minister of Housing, when the motion was passed of no confidence for him, nobody would have Fianna Fáil or Fianna Gael. Well, I could be wrong, maybe one or two, but the vast majority of the councillors, they all passed the motion that was 100%. The man that has never even came up and visited a Micah or defective home in Donegal, they passed a motion that it's all right that he's a good man. That's pathetic.
Are they not to some extent, though, waiting to see, in that, we're talking, there's talk about, there's more I'm trying to make an argument here, but it's difficult. There's more analysis of science that maybe the system might evolve. We've been told that the system can evolve, and this is just the first. Sort of incarnation of it. Is there an argument that the public reps are sort of saying, well, let's see if our parties can fulfil those commitments?
No. There's two different stories there. In the right hand there, the council is fighting for emergency accommodation and hubs and even maintenance teams to go out over volunteers. The councillors have got nothing on their left hand to try and start fighting stuff through the AS465 and the science-led stuff. They've got nothing there. So they might as well fight for the people on the stuff that they can, like the low-bearing fruit, as a man would say. Because in the AS465 side of stuff, that's a new level altogether. That's an absolute disaster. They actually madden me to a level that I blame them as one of the biggest culprits on this. Their delays are underpinning this whole scheme. So there, and AS465. Like, if you look at it, it's over 6 years since the AS465 was supposed to review this through the MSAI. Now, it's coming out tomorrow now in the Annie-Stone Independent that they are going to take another year to review this scheme. So, Greg, that means that all the homeowners now, right? All the homeowners that's getting the decisions from the housing agency now, they're all still working in the old AS465 scheme. So their decisions are all based on MICA. And like the dog in the street knows now it's not. So government is allowing all the information and all the decisions now to be based on the old scheme, and they're using delay tactics again to turn around and say, well, no, you're not getting demolition. We might put a plaster over a baldwind here, and we're going to decide this. And then they're delaying the AS465 is not going to be used for over a year. Like, that is where it comes to a stage that we know that the Michael Doherty was right whenever he left my group. And I remember everything that he said, the stuff that he was saying was, this government, we're not getting nothing more out of this government. They've set up a scheme to get the least amount of houses fixed. And he's 100% right. Because
so,
when you
are
put
you of the view that in reality, for very few people, if any, this certainly isn't a 100% redress scheme, and there's so much uncertainty being over the technical side of it that you're talking about, inner leaves, foundations, and all that type of stuff, that really no one's going to engage with this scheme in its current form for a couple of years, effectively, at the very least, under the current regime. Is that what you're saying, that this really is what we're talking about here, is a scheme that isn't a scheme?
Aye, it's sad with a heavy heart. That's the realisation that I've come to. This government and Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael, this is the way they've left it. And if you had asked me if there was another government in place, listen, I don't know the answer. I don't know the answer to that other. All I know is some of the stuff that's going on there. Like, Eve the Debbie McCoy, right? So remember the Debbie McCoy, the amount of help that she's helped us through all this time and the information that we've got off her. Right. Within 1 year, the banks and the government and the homeowners were around the table saying, right, how do we resolve this problem? Right? So, and you take Ireland into consideration. The government has done everything but come around the table with the banks and the insurances and the homeowners. That's taken the reverse focus group that was set up by Roisin Gallagher and her team. Has taken them to set up the banking and insurance group, and only for the great laser aid of them and going through our terms and conditions that we kept plugging away at the banks, plugging away and telling the banks, listen, there's more examples, and we asked the Department of Housing, listen, let's meet around the table here with the banks. No, they kept saying, no, we're all right, we don't need you around the table. But until we give the banks enough examples and telling them that these houses are not mortgageable, sellable or insurable, they says, no. So everybody says, that's all right, sir. We're hearing from the government that you're getting 100%. We're hearing from the Minister, Michael Martin, Charlie McConlogue, that you're getting 100%. No, you must be wrong. They must be right. But no, with the persistence of the banking and insurance group, the penny finally dropped with the banks, and they're saying, hold on a minute here. Yes, you must have a point. Right, let's meet around the table. Now, this has nothing to do with our government. No, not one thing. So that's why my faith in this government is just at an all-time low. So it is at the minute.
Yeah, but you've been in the game long enough to know as well, and when I say in the game, been around long enough to know, like, there's an awful lot of promises being made if there were another government in place. But the one thing that people have learned over this process, and it's been going on a very long time now, is a lot of commitments have been made, and we've yet to, most would feel that we've yet to see them followed through on.
No, listen, you're 1,000,000% right there. And as a quote from Michael Doherty, and it's more or less what he said, it's very easy to shout from the sidelines. This is towards Sinn Féin here now, or any other party out there as well. But it's very easy to shout from the sidelines, but then because whenever you get into power, then and you get into the dressing room and you get togged out, right? Sinn Féin's getting close to the dressing room, and when they get togged out, are they going to man up? Can they? Well, listen, we don't know the answer to that. But I tell you one thing. One thing is definitely happening. There's work happening in the background, Greg. Kids can't tell you all about it, but that's where we're going at with any other parties. And we want to find out the definition of 100% redress. We're not going to be naive enough to turn around to Sinn Féin and say, listen, no problem at all. We'll put all our eggs in one basket and we'll tell everybody, listen, vote for you. You're going to give us all the bells and whistles and you're just going to change everything. No, we're not naive enough to do that. What's happening in the background now is we're bringing up the definition of 100% redress. Because if you ask somebody, it could take somebody 40 minutes, an hour to tell you times you could ask somebody. So we're simplifying it. We want Sinn Féin to publicly declare that is what 100% is. That's what they're backing. And them or any other party that does that, well, we will back them. And anybody out there should. Why would we not, Craig?
How does that work, though, with not wishing to throw a spanner in the works, but there is obviously a defective concrete political party that's been formed now in Donegal, and right from the get-go, it is kind of it could split votes and all that type of stuff. It could get really quite complicated. Do you have a view on that?
My view on that is I've been chatting to a couple of people who's on that there. I definitely support them. I think their angle is at council level. That's what they're telling me. They're not looking to go at the TD levels or nothing at the minute, so they're not muddling the waters. But they want it on a council level. They don't think enough work has been done at the council level, and I totally agree with them. I would totally ask anybody out there to if you were thinking of running or joining for them, and you're at a crossroads, you're thinking no, go for it. We need people in there with big voices. I don't think that they're going to derail anything. And going back to the more or less Sinn Féin side of it, people think, I was Sinn Féin. How can I not be more Sinn Féin whenever all I hear is the only people I hear in the Dáil is Sinn Féin standing up and calling out for us, along with the Thomas Pringles. Hey, listen, we've even got people down in Limerick, like Richard O'Donoghue, that's shouting at the government and saying, listen, this is wrong. So it's not just Sinn Féin, but credit where credit's due. They're the people that, if we ask them to call support over the Dáil, and they do it. And me personally, I was nothing to do with politics before this
but
year.
they've made an awful lot of commitments through the likes of this issue, hospitals, housing, and all that type of stuff. But look at, as you say, we'll wait and see. A caller says, finally, can you ask Paddy, has anyone got their house rebuilt under the scheme, this or the old one? And how did they fare out? And were they happy with the deal? Do you know anyone that has successfully?
I do. I just don't want to name him because he doesn't want to be named. But I do. And listen, they had a wee bit of bother going through the 90-10, but they've got it fixed. And listen, the crazy thing about this is there has to be a divide and conquer here kind of thing. Because, Greg, the person that I was talking to, he can do it when he's self-employed. He can make it work for himself. Whenever he does it himself and project manages it himself, and he phones and he gets his prices from his engineers, his plumbers, his plasterboarders, and all the rest. When he does all the work himself, he can make it work. He can make it work for him. But in saying that, he's saving about a doors out of that, doubling it. But anybody that can't do it, like I have a brother. I possibly could be fit to project manage it myself. I'm just not at the final figures yet. But I know rightly I have a brother that's all he's in the computer side of stuff. Not in a million years could he do it. Not in a million years.
I hope he doesn't mind you saying that.
I'll say it online. The last picture he hung up, he stuck up with sticky plasters and fell off and he closed the door. But,
all right, okay. He'll stick to the computers. All right. Well, listen, we'll wait and see. I think a lot of people that I speak to, and it's mostly off air, are sort of sitting tight to see where things go politically in this country in terms of commitments and fulfilling commitments and stuff. But we shall wait and see.
Yeah. I want to say something else there, Greg, as well, and that's to do with the council side of stuff, because some stuff goes on here, does put the pressure on the council to do stuff. As the contractors and the homeowners, and if the money's not coming through quick enough, and I've been talking to a couple of contractors, and what they're telling me is, one's telling me one thing and one's telling me another thing. One's telling me that his money's coming through quick. His 2 houses done now. His money's coming through good enough, so he's giving them a bit of praise. The other man, he's telling me, then it's not. So really and truly, with me talking to the two of them, that's because the council, there's no leaflet, there's no step-by-step guide, there's no box-ticking exercise of what needs to go in for your first invoice or your second. Like, in this day and age, everything is stress. Everything is a drama. Like, if you went out to go to a construction site or you went to somewhere, you've got a plan. You know, how can we be in this day and age that there's not even a plan for the payments? A simple box-ticking exercise, like.
Yep, and when it's done successfully, that should form a model that's distributed to everyone to say this is the most effective way of doing it. Follow these steps. I presume that's what you're saying there, Paddy.
Yeah, exactly. Just follow the steps. Follow the steps. Like there's not that many people that's phoning me about the frustrations and the finance side of stuff. The finance side of stuff is massive to people. You cannot get on that scheme unless you've got about 30 or 40,000 to go forward, and that means pay a deposit for a kitchen, pay a deposit for your windows, pay a deposit for this or that on, a bit of the engineers and architect fees at the start of it. So that is where the banking insurance side of stuff, and that's where this is where the government don't want a meeting with the banks and the homeowners and them. And that just, when they don't want that meeting, that means they don't want that scheme to work. And like, that's a disgrace. And like, I'm not even going to mention Charlie. I was going to get onto Charlie McCongan, but there's just no point. Just waste of time.
Right, okay, listen, Paddy, thanks for that. I appreciate your time, and the more we talk about it, unfortunately, the more it seems like we're not moving any forward, and it's a nightmare. I would not like to be at this time trying to contend with it. It's complicated and it's convoluted. Paddy, thanks very much for your time. I appreciate it. Paddy Diver, campaigner on the defective block issue and a homeowner there.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook, and at highlandradio.com.
The 9 till Noon Show, brought to you by Kelly's Toyota, where you can care for your car with Toyota Relax, giving you a year's warranty with your service. Terms and conditions apply.
Oh, Kira, congratulations. Look at her tiny fingers. She's beautiful, just like her mammy.
Oh, thank you.
Have you got a name yet?
Well, we're thinking...
She's going to call her Brooklyn. Brooklyn, Massachusetts, Phoenix, Arizona.
Your vote is your voice, so if you don't speak up, someone else is deciding for you.
Baltimore, Kentucky, Murphy O'Neill.
Who's that?
Hospital porter. Just back from his American road trip.
Make sure you're registered to vote. Go to checktheregister.ie and be a voter, so that it's your voice that's heard. From Comisiún Tábhachtán, Ireland's Independent Electoral Commission.
Oh, Brookie must juicy come to Auntie Hannah.
Last chance to enter the Donegal silage competition with Homeland and Nutrius Animal Feeds. Entries are closing soon, so hurry. Entry is free and includes 5 categories: dairy, beef, sheep, round bale and new entrant. First prize €300 vouchers, second prize €200 voucher in each category. For full entry details, visit homeland.ie. Closing date January 19.
The winter sale in Carrickdon is now on. Amazing reductions of up to 50% off in all departments. Shop in 42 stores nationwide or online at carrickdon.com. Kick off the new year in style with Carrickdon.
Eclipse Cinemas in Lifford, Strabane and Bundoran was honoured with the title of Best Family Entertainment Venue at the Highland Radio Customer Service Awards. Here are some of the reasons why.
The Director's Lounge is brilliant. Homemade popcorn in a class of its own. The pizzas are amazing. The staff are friendly and helpful. I enjoyed having my hot food delivered to my seat. It's just a really class cinema.
Treat yourself to a night out at Eclipse Cinemas in Lifford, Strabane and Bundoran.
Now, this Friday at 11 a.m, the official opening of the Creeslough Community Links Hub will take place. It's located on the main street in Creeslough. Magella McFadden is Community Links Manager for the Creeslough Community Association and joins us on the programme now. Good morning, Magella.
Good morning, Greg. How are you?
Not so bad. Now, you're welcoming Junior Minister Joe O'Brien. He's the Minister of State for Community Development, Integration and Charities to open this facility. Tell us about the facility and the services it will provide, Magella.
Yes, so Minister O'Brien will be officially opening our facility on Friday. This, Greg, was a derelict building here in the middle of Creeslough for many years, and just in the middle of last year, the Creeslough community had received funding to indeed come up with this community centre, a community initiative. It was through the Creasla Together initiative to create a facility that would bring the community together again, and I suppose help with the journey of healing here in Creasla.
And how will that be achieved? Like, what will be there for the community, Majella?
So it's been functional since August. It's a bit of a work in progress at the moment, but we're almost there. At the moment, we're running several programs out of here. For example, we would have a youth group in on a Monday evening. We have a youth group here on a Tuesday evening. So we work with Foróige and with Donegal Youth Services. We have a walking group coming out of here on a Thursday that's very successful. We have a number of support groups as well. And we would have citizens advice and MABs coming in here once a month. So yes, it's filling up fast. The calendar is certainly filling up here.
Yeah, and it evolves, doesn't it? It evolves to the community's needs, Majella. What it is now, it might be something, really quite different into the future. It's whatever the local population might benefit most from.
Absolutely. So it really at the forefront of all this is what is, as you say, what the community's needs are, and it is continuously evolving. And we're working with and building on the relationships that we've already had with some of the key stakeholders here in the Creasla communities, such as the social workers and our youth workers. We've had a lot of support from the Donegal Local Development Company, DLDC, as well as the Donegal County Council. So we're very fortunate in that respect that we've had a lot of support to get this building to where it is at the moment. And for anybody that has not been in here yet, it really is, when they walk in, I suppose it's not what they expect to see. We have 3 office spaces here. We have a meeting room, but we have a wonderful communal space which opens out to just a beautiful outdoor area, and we really want to utilise that now in the coming year, whether that be with markets or just getting people together. In fact, we have some yoga classes running here as well over the weekends, and it's just a really beautiful spot, and we just want to make it work for the community moving forward.
Yeah, and I don't know how to phrase this, but I mean, obviously this has been established in the wake of the awful Creasla tragedy, and it doesn't necessarily, does it directly reference that, but it does sort of support the community in its recovery after it, if that makes sense.
Yes, look, we're all the time remembering the families who have lost their loved ones, the injured Greg, their lives have been changed forever. This is the funding was received, I suppose, in the aftermath of that tragedy, and that's always going to be at the forefront here. So it's about bringing the community together, and there's no better way to do that than with a community centre such as this. And I would like to add that I've had great support from the Dunfanaghy Family Resource Centre, Breach Ward, and a number of the resource centres around the county. They're just an amazing example of what it is to bring a community together. Just the walking group, they're an amazing bunch of people that come in here every Thursday, and they alone, if I could say one thing, it would be, if anyone's listening here that are in and around the Creasla area now, just take that one step, get out and join a group, or come in here, give us a call if there's something that you're interested in, because just taking that first step and getting out, it makes a big difference in people's lives, and it's making a big difference in our lives here in the community centre.
Lovely, okay. And everyone's invited in the local area to the opening at 11 a.m. In attendance will be the Minister of State for Community Development, Integration and Charities, Joe O'Brien. And again, to encourage people to go and see what it's like, to see if it is for you. Because not everyone will, and it's important, I think, that everyone who might benefit from it does at least go in and see the setup and, as you say, be pleasantly surprised. And I would say through the community events that will follow, as you mentioned, with that beautiful space that you have now, it'll grow and grow and grow from there, Majella.
It certainly is. It is growing and continuously evolving, as we mentioned earlier. And I would encourage everyone to come out. Everybody is invited on Friday to, I suppose, to mark an occasion as well. in this journey that we have here in Creaslough of just healing. We just would invite everybody to come in and see the premises. You know, you will have ideas. What I'd like to say to everybody, it's your community links hub. So it belongs to the community. Your ideas, come out, let us know. There's refreshments as well, actually. You'll tea and sandwiches after.
Lovely stuff. Okay. Majella, thank you for your time today and best of luck with the official opening tomorrow. I know you've been working away there, but it's nice to get the official launch done. Thank you for your time today.
It is. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Greg.
Take care. Majella McFadden there, Community Links Manager for the Creaslough Community Association. Coming up after the break, we're going to be talking about an increase in scabies. What is scabies? What to look out for? Why are we seeing an increase?
The 9 till noon show brought to you by Kelly's Toyota Port Road, Letterkenny. Home to a wide range of Toyota commercial vehicles. Your perfect business partner.
Return, refund, recycled. Ireland's deposit return scheme is coming. From the 1st of February 2024, when you buy a drink in a bottle or can with the return logo, you'll pay a small deposit. Once you're refreshed, return your empty, undamaged bottle or can to any shop or supermarket and get your deposit back. The result? Less litter, less waste, and better recycling for Ireland. For more, visit return.ie.
Your flu and COVID-19 vaccines will give your immune system the top-up it needs to help protect you from serious illness. A flu vaccine is recommended for you if you're 65 or over. A COVID-19 vaccine is recommended for you if you're 50 or over. Both vaccines are recommended for healthcare workers and anyone who is pregnant or has a long-term health condition. Talk to a participating GP or pharmacist or visit hsc.ie for more. From the HSC.
Muff. Lousy bush. Strangle willy. Legwy fottering, Duty's bottom, Stripsy, Willy Rogue Isle, Pulling Town, Terman Feckin, Killy Willy. Gowl. Over the years, not all our town names have translated beautifully from Irish to English, but they're still beautiful places to explore, especially in a Skoda. Skoda. Let's explore.
Your local Skoda dealer is DMG Motors, Clar Road, Donegal Town. Call 074 9721 396 or visit dmgmotors.ie.
Highland Radio weather updates brought to you by Grant. Building a new home? Choose Grant's A++ rated Airona air-to-water heat pump and Uflex underfloor heating. Visit grant.ie.
Cold and frosty to start with, some icy patches. Cloud will gradually break up this morning with some good sunny spells developing, staying mainly dry too with easterly breezes, but it's still rather cold with temperatures struggling to reach highs of just 2 to 4 degrees. Okay, we're joined on the programme now by the Vice President of the Irish Medical Organisation and local GP, Dr. Dennis McCauley. Good morning to you, Dennis. Thank you for your time as always.
Good morning, Greg. Happy New Year to you.
And happy New Year to you and yours. Okay, scabies. We're seeing an increase in scabies. We'll talk about it, what might be driving that increase. But firstly, what is scabies and how does it present itself?
Scabies is a very annoying condition to any family that have had it. It's a little mite that lives on your skin. In the average infection, there's about 16 of these little mites on your skin, and they burrow into your skin, lay eggs, and become very itchy. And the symptoms basically are that your skin is just so itchy. There's other family members are itching at night. You just can't sleep because you itch so much. Therefore, it's not serious, but it is so demoralising because it's also difficult to treat.
And presumably you agitate your skin even more by involuntary scratching of the area.
I think one of the reasons that you scratch your skin is because you scratch your skin. The more you scratch, the more itchy you'll actually get. And I think it's more inclined to get people who are under 15 and older people, but you generally get it in overcrowded situations. So that's why you see students quite commonly get it also. So those are the general things. School children, then nursing homes, and then in situations where there's a lot of bodies lying, which in a crowded space.
If you had scabies, you would know it, would you? Or could you be itching and putting it down to something else, or what?
I think, people come in and they've been scratching. Generally, they've been scratching for many weeks, if not a month, and they're assuming it's an allergy. They've taken an antihistamine. They've assumed it's something in their washing powder. They've changed. They've moisturized, and they come in and they're quite at that stage quite sleep deprived and quite annoyed. And then when you tell them they have a skin infection with these little mites on their skin, they actually get much, much more annoyed. And naturally, you just immediately repel when you hear that diagnosis. And that's why the treatment is it's difficult, because you have to be persistent and particular. And I think that's why it's so difficult, because people will come in and say, I've done what you've told me, I'm still itching, I'm annoyed, sort it out.
So the mite bores into your skin, plants eggs, and then eggs hatch. Do they exit your skin and locate somewhere else, or what happens there?
Do. What happens is the mite lives off your skin. It lives in your skin. It can, when it goes on to other clothing, it can stay there for 72 hours, particularly in sort of cold conditions. This is why when you treat it, I'll just go through the actual treatment, Greg, because it's basically that you have to apply this cream from your neck down everywhere, between your fingers, between your toes, in your groin, between the buttocks. You leave it on overnight, and then that night, you get up, you wash your bedclothes at a high temperature. You've had clothes which you've washed at a high temperature and dried, ready to wear, and you don't use anything other clothes for 72 hours.
Break the cycle.
Yeah, to try and break the cycle. And everybody in the house has to do it. Even the person, well, I don't have scabies, I don't need to do it, because treatment failure generally becomes from not applying the cream properly. Not all members being actually given it, and then occasionally you do get resistance. The problem is that with a whole lot of other medical preparations at the present moment, we have shortages, and the problem is there's only one formulation available for scabies at the present minute, which is inevitably will increase the risk of resistance.
There was a lot of talk of bed bugs over the summer. This is something completely different, is it?
Oh, it is, yeah. Okay. A bed bug you will see, whereas scabies you have to really have. They are about 0.1 of a millimeter enlarged. You're more likely to see the actual burrows in your skin. So it's just really annoying. And then there is the new thing you would have heard on the TV, a thing called ivermectin that's used for cows. We use it also in very resistant forms of scabies, so there is a tablet, a version also.
And it spreads through close contact. So like a glancing blow, for instance, a shaking of a hand is very unlikely for scabies to spread like that. But if you were to lie beside someone, spend a lot of time beside them in a school setting, for example, or a congregated setting of any description, that's how it's they're getting from one person to the next.
It is, yeah. I can recall our house with the children coming back from school scratching, and we just said, here we go. And then we just do it. And it's usually sitting beside somebody for a reasonable length of time. They say it's very infectious, but I would shake somebody with hands with scabies that have no issue. I would naturally wash my hands, but it's not that infective. It is just you have to be there for a reasonable length of time. And
we are right across the country and the continent seeing an increase. But it's not really clear why, because I mean, obviously, the ways in which it transfers to one person to the other hasn't changed. So if we see more cases, it's more prevalent. But there's no real explanation as to why that is, or is there?
Well, there isn't really. I think it's so hard to actually define. I would imagine that it's a whole range of things. I think it is more overcrowding, but I think resistance is an issue, and I think that is because of the inability of us to sort of rotate the medicines that we are using. That's what happens in all other forms of medicine. If you use the one antibiotic all of the time, you will get resistance. Are they likely to congregate in any particular parts of the body, Dennis? Well, they do. Well, funny, they tend to go in your fingers and in your groin, between your fingers and in your groin, really, and between your toes. But I think the itch is just generalized, and that's why it is so annoying.
A caller says the cream you buy for the scabies is €25. Can you get that on a medical card?
Yes, you can.
You can, but the caller says they're looking for it and they're struggling to get it. But there's a general medicines, and there's no alternative, is there? There's no home remedies. I mean, obviously you can come up with things that alleviate itching, but
there isn't for scabies. It is very particular. There is an oral tablet called Ivermectin, which we all would have heard it being advertised growing up for cows, because it's used for parasites also. So we use it also in cases such as that. So the oral tablet sounds useful, but I think you would always try and use the creams first, because it's really reserved for the very extreme cases, people who are immunosuppressed and so forth.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a big deal coming into the house for all the reasons you've outlined. Everyone has to cream up. You have to everyone has to be in fresh clothes. All of the bed clothes have to be changed and washed at a high. Like it's a problem. Okay, listen, people will have learned something, I'm sure, from that conversation. Dennis, thank you very much for your time. Anything you need to add?
Could I just say there's the HSE on the website's really good information. It's the best written one I've seen, so I would advise people to go there if there's any issues.
Take care of yourself. Thanks, Dennis. That's Dr. Dennis McCauley there, who is Vice President of the Irish Medical Organisation and, of course, a local GP. Wasn't really aware of scabies, if I'm completely honest with you, but it certainly made me itch, as those conversations tend to. Particularly, this is not where I'm itching, but keep an eye out, particularly in the web of your fingers and toes and in your groin area, according to Dennis McCauley there. I've been asked to let you know that at Monaghan Road, heading towards the Glen at the crossroads in Killygordon, there's a car off the road. The caller says it's due to black ice and the road is lethal. Please be careful. The road seemed a little bit, on my routes this morning, seemed a little bit less icy than yesterday. Greg, it doesn't take a rocket science to realise this government is kicking the ball down the road and to leave the mess for the next government. It could well be them, though, you see, which people shouldn't... I think people believe it's a fait accompli that after an election... the government will change dramatically. It may not change at all. It depends on how the numbers add up. Read the Micah redress as a protest at the lack of progress on the scheme. The people should not give any sitting councillors a vote at the next election. They are to represent the people, and they are not so. The people need to stand together and make a change. Let's make a clean sweep and get in a whole new group of councillors, and let's see if they can progress as the current councillors, this caller believes, are not able to. And I'm sure many of the councillors, if not, the majority of them, would say they're doing as much as they can from within. I made an appointment with a skin specialist. Doctors say to shower and then apply cream. The skin specialist recommended that you put on the cream and then shower. You do not shower first and then put on the cream. Yeah, I think the key thing is put the cream on, leave it overnight, shower the next day. Whether you shower before or after, I would say it might not have a great impact. I work in a nursing home in Donegal. There's one case of confirmed scabies. What's the protocol? Does everyone need cream? Do we need to be treated? Is it the same protocol as a household? A local GP confirmed that it was scabies. Well, listen, we'll get back on to Dennis McCauley and see what the advice would be with a confirmed case of scabies in a nursing home setting, to see what the protocol should be there. We'll try and find that out for you. In fact, we can probably check the HSE website and I'll relate that to you after we take a break for the news and obituary notices. Stay tuned. Coming up straight after, we have Community Garda information. Garda Sergeant Ewan Walsh with the latest appeals and information.
The 9 till noon show brought to you by Kelly's Toyota, where you can now test drive the new Toyota CHR, combining standout styling, an engaging drive and class-leading efficiency.
It all begins with a thump as the needle nestles into a deep valley of vinyl. Sizzle and crackle turns into fizzle and scratch, and the mesmerizing rotations pop and hiss and...
Ah, the crackle of a vinyl record. Just one of the ordinary sounds rediscovered by Sean. Whatever sounds you've lost, our hearing experts could help you find them again. Search Specsavers Hearing.
Enter the Virgin Media Playhouse for unbelievable value from Ireland's best broadband. Get 500 meg super-fast, reliable broadband for just €35 a month for 12 months. And no activation fee when you act now. Switch in-store or at virginmedia.ie. Virgin Media, it's playtime.
T's and C's apply. See virginmedia.ie. Subject to location and availability. New customers only. 12-month contract. 500 meg broadband. €70 thereafter. Ireland's best broadband awarded by Umlaut. See virginmedia.ie/proof.
LK Bikes now ready for Bike to Work 2024. Use your bike to work benefits for bikes and safety equipment, including e-bikes, up to the value of €1,500. Visit our showroom to explore a comprehensive selection of e-bikes, leisure bikes, road bikes and mountain bikes. Available for you to try out or shop online at lkbikes.com with free nationwide delivery. LK Bikes, Letterkenny.
At iMotors, our brand new Kia 241 range is ready to go for immediate delivery. As Donegal's home for Kia, with 7 years warranty and low finance rates from 1.9% on EV cars and 3.9% on the rest of the range. Check out our stylish and diverse range at imotors.ie. iMotors, your local Kia dealership.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, I'm Michaela Clark with the news at 10 o'clock. The Enhanced Effective Concrete Block Grant Scheme is designed not to work. That's according to an affected homeowner and campaigner. Paddy Divers says there's widespread frustration among those impacted, with their mental health suffering as a result. He told today's 9 till noon show that the vulnerable are being left even more vulnerable by the scheme.
I've been chatting to the pensioners, say the vulnerables for one example, for South Belfast. The poor woman's gone into the last rollout of her life. And this is the worst Christmas she's ever had in her life. That should not be happening on the last rollout. She was messed about the whole way for the last 6 months by the Donegal County Council. She was in stage 3, ready to get the figure that she has to work with, and then she can give it to a contractor. She never got it in time for Christmas.
Meanwhile, it's been confirmed that the Banking and Insurance Redress Focus Group will continue its work. That's despite an announcement in recent days that the redress focus groups were unable to carry on due to a lack of resources, support and assistance. Members of the Banking and Insurance Redress Group have been invited to a meeting with the subgroup established by the Department of Housing to examine issues relating to the mortgageability of homes remediated under the defective concrete block scheme this Thursday. Spokesperson Patrick Sharkey says the group will continue in their efforts to see remediated homes brought to a mortgageable standard.
Thursday's meeting is an initial meeting. We envisage that it would be a process which will continue with regular meetings. So we're going to continue with our work. We are in engagement with each of the main lenders, the Irish Banking Culture Board, the Central Bank. It was very hard work and difficult to get that engagement up and running. So we want to continue with that, and that's our intention.
Action is being urged to prevent more nursing home closures. An ESRI report shows 50 homes closed down between 2018 and 2020, with providers blaming staffing difficulties and financial viability. The report revealed also that Donegal has one of the lowest supply of nursing home beds per capita, with 204 more long-term residential care beds needed in the county to meet the national average. Tag Daly is the CEO of Nursing Homes Ireland and says he can't see 2024 being much better for the people he represents.
Confidence is seeping away from the sector, and while there is some development, all of those developments would have been either under construction or pre-funded. But in reality, I'm hearing from members that no new development, no additional capacity will be provided in the current funding climate.
A Donegal doctor is warning of an increase in scabies. The condition is a highly contagious skin infestation caused by mites that get under the skin and lay eggs. An increase in scabies has been reported in the UK also, and there's a fear extreme shortages of treatments will lead to the spread of it. Dr. Dennis McCauley, Vice President of the IMO, has this advice.
You have to apply this cream from your neck down, everywhere between your fingers, between your toes and your groin, between the buttocks. You leave it on overnight, and then that night you get up, you wash your bedclothes at a high temperature. You've had clothes which you've washed at a high temperature and dried, ready to wear, and you don't use anything other clothes for 72. Everybody in the house has to do it.
Ireland's claim to fame as the home of Halloween will help promote the country abroad this year, as well as the celebration of the 10th year anniversary of the Wild Atlantic Way. It's part of a plan to avoid potential shortages for hotel beds due to the challenge of securing refugee accommodation. Tourism Ireland CEO Alice Mansoras says we can target regions and seasons that do have the ability to grow.
More Americans celebrate Halloween than St. Patrick's Day, and St. Patrick's Day as a festival is so beloved already. You know, we welcome potentially over 100,000 overseas visitors. Now imagine at the opposite end of the year in our autumn months that Halloween can be a real landmark moment to showcase what the island of Ireland has to offer in the autumn months.
Weather now cold and frosty with some icy patches this morning. Cloud will gradually break up with some good sunny spells developing. Highest temperatures of just 2 to 4 degrees. That's all from Highland Radio News for now. We'll be back with an update again at 11 o'clock. Until then, good morning. The obituary notices for this Tuesday morning, January the 9th. The death has occurred of Dr. John Hines, 8 Ballymacool, Carolina Park, Letterkenny, County Donegal, formerly of Slough, Berkshire. John will repose at his daughter Deirdre's residence, 8 The Green, Ballymacool, Letterkenny, today from 3 o'clock until 10 o'clock and tomorrow from 2 o'clock until 10 o'clock. Removal from there on Thursday morning at 8 o'clock to travel to Lakelands Crematorium, County Cavan for cremation at 12 noon. The death has taken place in Stroud, Gloucestershire, England, of Michael Mike Doherty, formerly of Glentower, Carndonagh. Michael's funeral will take place at 12 o'clock on Friday at the Annunciation Church, Woodchester, followed by burial at Stroud Cemetery, Horns Road. Donations in lieu of flowers in memory of Michael will be greatly received and well used by either the Longfield Community Hospice or the Soil Association. The death has taken place of Marie McCafferty, née McMenamin, 14 Oakfield Road. Funeral leaving her home, 14 Oakfield Road, tomorrow morning at 9:20 to St Eugene's Cathedral for Requiem Mass at 10 o'clock. Interment afterwards in the city cemetery. Wake today from 4 o'clock until 10 o'clock. The death has taken place of Evelyn Shields, Cross Quigley's Point. Evelyn's remains are reposing at her home. Funeral arrangements to be confirmed later. The death has taken place of Anthony McHenry, Glenagivney, Lekemy, Moville. Anthony's remains will repose at Liam Collins Funeral Home, Station Road, Carndonagh, this evening from 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock, where you're welcome to pay your respects. Anthony's remains will leave Liam Collins Funeral Home this evening at 6:15 to arrive in St Columbus Church, Ballinacray at 7 o'clock to repose overnight. Funeral Mass will take place tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock, followed by burial in the adjoining graveyard. Family flowers only, donations if desired to Carndonagh Community Hospital Patients Comfort Fund. The death has taken place of Mary Kildare, Cole Hill, Newton Cunningham. Remains reposing at her late residence. Funeral from there tomorrow morning going to All Saints Church, Newton Cunningham for Requiem Mass at 11 o'clock, followed by interment in the adjoining cemetery. Funeral Mass can be viewed on churchservices.tv. Family time from 9 o'clock to 11 o'clock and on the morning of the funeral. Family flowers only, donations if desired to the Donegal Hospice or Pieta House, care of any family member or Charlie McClafferty, funeral director. The death has taken place of Ethel Scott, 23 Oak Park Convoy. Her remains are reposing at her late residence. Funeral leaving from there tomorrow afternoon at 1:30 for 2 o'clock funeral service in Convoy Presbyterian Church, followed by burial in the family plot in the adjoining graveyard. Family time please from 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock and on the morning of the funeral. Family flowers only, donations in lieu if desired to the Patients Comfort Fund, Brindley Manor Nursing Home, care of Terence McClintock, funeral director. And the death has taken place of Kevin Kelly, Isleview House, Rosemount, Letterkenny, formerly Lower Main Street. Kevin's remains are reposing at his son Adrian's residence, the Glebe Gallery, Garton Churchill. Funeral from there tomorrow, going to St Junan's Cathedral for Requiem Mass at 11 o'clock, followed by interment in Lex Cemetery. Funeral Mass can be viewed on churchservices.tv. Family time from 10 o'clock to 12 o'clock and on the morning of the funeral. For family information and more details regarding wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
Aldi are delighted to announce the arrival of their latest range of baby special buys, including 3-piece breakfast set just $4.99, changing mat only $5.99, sleeping suits 3-pack only $9.99, plus bed rail and baby safety gate only $24.99 each. Would you look at those lovely little prices? So go on, save a bundle on your bundle of joy at Aldi. Awarded Best Family-Friendly Supermarket at the National Parenting Product Awards. Baby special buys due in store Thursday 11th of January. Go all Aldi.
All right, you're welcome back to the 9 till noon show. Some of your comments on some of the stuff we've been talking about in the first hour of the show in relation to the proposed 8-week suspension for Jim McGuinness, sideline suspension following the fielding of a player contravening the rules. Some of your comments this morning. The GEA would need to cop on Kilmacud Crokes had 16 men on the pitch last year. What sanctions were put on them? I think it was a genuine mistake on Jim's part. If that's the case, is that all right? Should that mean the rules don't apply? Rules are rules and not meant to be broken, says another listener. What is it with the GEA? Do they think they don't have to go by the rules and regulations because that's the way they are acting? Did anyone watch the Tonight Show last night, says a caller? TD Neil Richmond said no one will tell us who will live in towns and villages around Ireland. A statement like that from the Taoiseach called Taoiseach is one thing, but from the TDs, many of whom are making money from the housing of IPAs and Ukrainians. So he said no one will tell us who will live in towns and villages. Does that mean it was I didn't see it. It's not a programme I'd watch. Is he saying that the public won't dictate, or I presume that's what he meant, yeah? Greg, strange how we can look after the foreigners by the thousands, but our nursing homes going to close. Could you warn people to slow down coming down past Drumbo Avenue graveyard entrance? The road is very slippy. It's like a bottle. Oh, there's already a crash up there. The Gardaí and Council need to be notified and it needs to be gritted. Greg, my son arranged for a couple to rent my home while I was away. The people are presently 3 months in arrears in rent and have no intention of paying a penny of it. I've had to seek a solicitor at an added cost to me. When I inspected the house, it is being destroyed. I've been to solicitor and they tell me it's going to take months to get them moved out. Where is the law to protect me? Can anyone tell me the best way forward for me to sort this nightmare? I've spoken to people off air who've had issues with... similar to this. It can be a very long and drawn out process. I'm not sure if it's a private arrangement without the involvement of the private residence tenancy board, the PSTB, is it? PTSB. I'm not sure if they can offer you any assistance or if it was done outside of their remit. But anyone out there who can give that listener some advice, let us know. We'll pass it on. A caller says, you recently spoke about mail being sent to Australia and not getting delivered. I had over £100 worth of stuff in it for my grandchildren. I sent it a year ago and it came back to my house this week undelivered. Lucky for me, I had a sender's address on it and hence it was returned to me. I resent it this morning, but this time I paid for tracking it at €36. So here's hoping. Yeah, fingers crossed indeed. Hi Greg, I live in one of over 1,000 council houses affected by defective concrete. I was told by 2 senior council staff that funding has been requested for the housing department to rebuild affected council houses for the past 3 years. The funding has been refused on the basis that the minister does not want to be seen to be repairing social housing before resolving the private housing issue. Council tenants are being treated as less than second-class citizens. I think things are starting to move in that direction. I'm not sure what you were told, but that's your reading of it. But we did see tenders going out from the council before and over Christmas, seeking contractors. As a voter, I'm really concerned about the number of civil actions being taken by high-profile Sinn Féin personnel against journalists and newspapers. Taken in the whole, it can only be seen as an attempt to stifle by intimidation any attempt to print a material that they don't agree with. Going into a general election in the near future, one has to be concerned as to what sort of news media we would have if Sinn Féin were in power. For that reason, I definitely will be not voting for any Sinn Féin candidates. I'm glad that the judge in Belfast called Mr. Kelly's case for what it was. Okay, interesting. For God's sakes, keep warning people about the use of high-vis gear. Met a lady this morning walking with her back to traffic on the road off the footpath with dark clothing on at Navanny Bridge in Ballybofey. Please, if you're out and about, it's so important. If you're listening, please make a note, if you're a walker, to walk in the correct manner, but please wear high-vis. Between Tullyrap and Whitecross on the main road in Lifford, there's a big pothole on the road. I'm just after busting a tyre. Other drivers, please be careful now. Please take a picture of the pothole if you can, and your tyre, and the receipts for its repair, and you can make a claim against the council for the repair of that tyre, by the way, and any other damage caused to your car. Quite a number of people do so on an annual basis. It's not your fault. You're going to be out quite a few quid. The tyre might be shot. You could have to pay 80 to 180 euro for a new tyre. It sounds like that could be a situation that you could take up with the council. Back to the GEA. It was a very harsh decision for an outright ban, says this listener. We broke the rules. It was complete stupidity. I can't understand how they made such a mistake. The chap from the sidelines was that Rorty couldn't even play for his own team, Niamh Connell, as he was too young. Whoever's decision this was needs to stand up and apologise. Players have been working hard, and now this. I wouldn't be suspending McGuinness. I'd be suspending the secretary, whoever else is in charge of registration. They didn't do their jobs. Players and supporters have been let down. But look, I mean, in terms of attributing blame, there is a rule there, whether we like it or not, and that rule was contravened. And I'm not sure what scope there is there in terms of punishment. Was this at the high end? Is it at the low end? Is this a set punishment? I'm not really quite sure. Anyway, 086 60 25,000. We'll talk about that a little later on in the show in a bit more detail as well. But we're going to take a break because when we return, it's Community Garda information.
The county's #1 talk show, The 9 till Noon Show on Highland Radio.
It's time for Vision Ireland Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Tuesday, the 9th of January. You're playing on the brown sheet. The reference number is S7. It's game number 2. The numbers are 55, 39, 68, 2, 24, 73, 67, 69, 58, and finally 15. Phone your claim to 9104833 before 8 tonight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your Vision Ireland bingo information at highlandradio.com.
Hi, Mark here from Highland Motors at the Mountain Top in Letterkenny. What would you look for in a new car? Maybe a reversing camera with reversing sensors, bright LED headlights, or maybe you're into your tech, like Android Auto or Apple CarPlay. Wireless, of course. If you also like great comfort and want all of this at a really good price, the new Citroen C4X U Edition is the car for you. Call in to me at Highland Motors at the Mountain Top in Letterkenny. Oh, and that really good price? $29,900 on the road.
It's time to save big with the McElhinney's Winter Sale, with major savings on your favourite brands across fashion, footwear, accessories, homeware and much more. Grab 50% off selected designer brands in our biggest ever winter sale online at mcelhinneys.com or join us in store. Hurry while stocks last.
Imagine Broadband's January sale is here. Grab our Hero high-speed broadband package for just $49.99 per month. Act fast. Sign up before January 31st to enjoy a massive €180 in savings. Head to imagine.ie or free phone us on 1800 938 407 to upgrade to faster broadband faster. Subject to location and availability. Minimum 18-month contract. Activation fees and annual price increase of CPI plus 3% applies. See imagine.ie for full terms and conditions.
The 9 till Noon Show brought to you by Kelly's Toyota. With over 45 years of experience. Trust us to help you on your electric journey.
The Community Garda information slot is brought to you by Sheridan Security Systems, protecting what you value most. Call today and get your zero-wire alarm system from €299. Sheridan Security, 91-26025.
Okay, you're very welcome along to the 9 till Noon Show. Community Guard information for this Tuesday, the 9th of January 2024. We have Garda Sergeant Ewan Walsh in studio with us, as always. Good morning, Ewan. Thank you for
Greg.
your time.
Happy New Year to you.
And same to you. And we're going to be talking to Detective Jared McCready. Good morning, Jared. We're going to be talking about advice, really, in relation to investment fraud and money muling. And we do talk about this from time to time, but still it remains an issue out there.
That's right, Greg. Good morning. Happy New Year to you. It is kind of a major issue, all right.
Okay, well, listen, we've got some good advice and some real-world examples as well, which might help to get the message across. But we'll start with the appeals and other information from Garda Sergeant Ewan Walsh and reiterating the Garda appeal in relation to the fatal road crash on the outskirts of Letterkenny.
Yes, Greg, this is renewing the appeal again in relation to the fatal collision which occurred last Friday evening at approximately 7 p.m. on the main Letterkenny to Kilmacrennan Road, the N56 as it's known. The collision involved a car and a pedestrian, and unfortunately the pedestrian, who is named as Leila Hussein Ali, aged in her 20s, was sadly pronounced deceased, and our thoughts and prayers are with the deceased and her family and friends at this time. And we're appealing for any witnesses to the collision to come forward. Any road users who have a dash cam and who were travelling on the N56 in the Illustrian area between 6 p.m. and 7:15 p.m. last Friday, the 5th of January, we're asking them to make the dash cam footage available to Gardaí. And again, anyone who has information in relation to the collision is asked to contact Milford Garda Station on 07491 53060, or again the confidential line 1800 666 111.
Now, we're appealing in relation to a series of burglaries in different parts of the county. Should we start in Letterkenny?
Yes, this is a burglary which occurred last week, Greg, in the townland of Creve, Letterkenny, on the Rock Hill area of Letterkenny. It occurred between 3 p.m. last Wednesday, the 3rd of January, and 12:10 a.m. on Thursday morning. So sometime late Wednesday afternoon or Wednesday night. So the front door of a private residence was forced open and entry was gained to the property. A number of rooms were ransacked and a safe was forced open within the property, and the contents of the safe were stolen. And again, among the items stolen were substantial sums of cash and various items of jewellery. Some of the jewellery taken, one was a white gold diamond and sapphire engagement ring, a yellow gold and diamond wedding ring, diamond sapphire earrings, diamond drop earrings, circular diamond earrings with a red stone in the centre, and a men's bracelet with brown stones. So again, if anybody observed anything suspicious, any vehicles or people acting suspiciously in the area of Creve last Wednesday, to make contact with Gardaí at Letterkenny, 0749167 or again the confidential line 1800 666 111. And again, we're appealing to jewellers and shop owners in the area or in the county to make contact with Gardaí if anybody should come to their store to have a similar type of jewellery valued or sold on. And again, anybody with relevant information, please contact the Gardaí.
Yeah, indeed, that's right across the region as well. Now, a burglary in Donegal Town.
Yes, this is a burglary that occurred in a yard in Spearstown, Donegal Town, last Thursday, the 4th of January, Thursday night time, between 10:30 p.m. and 11:05 p.m. Locks on the gate of the property was broken and entry gained, and 14 rolls of stay wire, that's the wire that's used in the structural work, were stolen from the yard. Again, substantial value in that. So appeal to anybody who may have travelled in that area between 10 p.m. and 11:30 p.m. on the date and who has dashcam to make the footage available to Gardaí. And again, anybody who can assist with the information or the crime to contact Gardaí at Ballyshannon 07198 58530. That's 07198 58530.
And a little further south in the Merva area, another burglary.
This is burglary which occurred last night, Monday the 8th, Sunday night, Monday morning, between 12:55 a.m. and 1:25 a.m. So the burglary occurred at Merva area near the golf club, Entry was gained to a building via a rear window, and damage it caused within internal doors to get entry into steal property. A list of what may have been stolen is currently being compiled, and we will post same onto our Facebook again. But we're appealing to anybody who has travelled in that area and who may have observed any suspicious vehicles or activity to make contact with the Gardaí again in Ballyshannon, 07198 58530. And again, anybody in the Merva area between midnight and 2 a.m. and who has dashcam, to please make it available to Gardaí.
And it is a quiet rural area, and people in the vicinity would probably be somewhat familiar with the traffic you'd expect to see at that time.
Yeah,
so if anything stands out,
anything
really,
untoward, a vehicle that they've seen that's not norm to the area, to make us aware of it.
All right, we're heading to Quigley's Point now.
Yes, this is a burglary that occurred in the White Castle area of Quigley's Point, Greg, Sunday night, the 7th of January, between 9:30 p.m. Sunday night and 9:30 a.m. the following Monday morning. So the locks in the shed in the house were forced open, and 2 chainsaws were stolen from the property. One of the chainsaws is black in colour, and the other is a still electric chainsaw, which is orange in colour. So they may be passed on. You may be asked, do you want to buy chainsaws or anything? So we're appealing for anybody who has any relevant information to contact the Gardaí in Buncrana, 07493 20540, or again the confidential line, 1-800-666-111.
All right, a low loader taken from the Ballabafay area.
Yes, this is a yellow cane low loader trailer. The registration number is attached is 03DL2234. That's 03DL2234, and there's a photograph of the low loader which was stolen circulating through social media. It was taken from a yard in the Carrickmcgrath area of Ballabafay last Monday, and between 3 p.m. last Monday and 10 a.m. the following Tuesday morning, the 2nd of January. So it's sometime on New Year's Day. And obviously this would have most likely have been towed away by a tractor. So again, anybody who observed this trailer on the roads between those hours, we'd ask them to contact the Gardaí Letterkenny. And again, if anybody believes that they may have captured the trailer on their dash cam after it's been stolen, again, we ask them to make the footage available to us at 07491 67100.
Yeah, and it's pretty distinctive looking.
Yes, I've seen the picture myself.
The number plate may have gone amiss at this point, but you would probably notice if you had seen it. Right, all crime is despicable, but I think when places of religion or where people are laid to rest, it brings on a particularly sinister element to it.
Yes, and it's investigating the criminal damage, Greg, in the graveyard at St Eunice Cathedral, the Diamond Rafo, between Tuesday the 19th of December and Wednesday the 3rd of January. Now, we are aware that a number of incidents of criminal damage occurred. Damage was caused to 8 headstones within the graveyard between those dates. And in fact, some headstones were broken and others were actually pulled out of the ground, as you say, quite despicable. So on Wednesday the 3rd of January, we were aware that between 10 p.m. and 2 p.m, that specific time, someone entered the graveyard and pushed over a headstone, causing it to topple over. We appreciate that the time frame involved between the dates 19th of December and the 3rd of January is quite long for the number of incidents, but we were hopeful that somebody may recall some suspicious activity around the graveyard on any of the dates. So again, if anybody travelled in the area at the time and has dashcam, we ask them to make it available to Gardaí at Letterkenny. Or again, confidential line, anybody with information, 1-800-666-111.
Yeah, and if you didn't actually see it happening, it's possible that you may have seen people there that it didn't, fit what you'd expect.
Yes, somebody
to see
who's
there.
maybe not normally at the graveyard at the time.
Okay. Right. Some recent thefts of industrial wheelie bins.
Yes, we have made an appeal last week, actually, Greg, in relation to 2 industrial wheelie bins taken from the Castle Finn area on the 17th of December, and we now have 2 further instances where we're making the appeals. 2 industrial wheelie bins were stolen from the rear of Letterkenny Retail Park on Wednesday the 27th of December between 8 p.m. and 8:40 p.m. So we are interested in a sighting or dashcam footage of a white transit van that we are aware was in the area between those times. The van is believed to travel in the area of the Polestar roundabout following the incident. So that's last Wednesday, the 27th of December. And 2 industrial-sized wheelie bins were stolen from a business premises in the Industrial Park Bridgend on Saturday the 30th of December between 7 p.m. and then the following day, New Year's Eve, the 5 a.m. on Sunday the 31st, so sometime on Saturday night the 30th of December. So again, anybody who has assistance or relevant information to contact the local Garda station. And again, in light of these crimes, we're advising businesses owners to ensure that their bins are well secured, CCTV is fully operational at all times, and good street lighting.
Yeah, for sure. Just a couple of questions that came in during the course of the week. This is kind of a bit of a complex one because there's different rules at different times and what have you, but there are basics that pertain throughout the whole year. But the question is such: who is responsible for dogs on the beach? There are more dogs on the beach than ever, and very few Union are on leads.
You're looking at me there. Okay, well, it's quite obvious. The person who owns the dog.
I don't know if you have a dog or not, by the way, so that was an appointed look at you.
The dog owner is responsible for the dog while on the beach. Greg, it's quite obvious. Under the 1986 Control of Dogs Act, all dog owners are obliged to have their dogs under what is called effectual control. This means that dogs do not necessarily have to be kept on a leash, but their owners must be able to control them at all times. Okay, some dogs under legislation must be kept on their leash by law and must wear a muzzle when out in the public. These include Bull Mastiff, Doberman Pinscher, English Bull Terrier and German Shepherd. But the general house dog that we see people on the beach with are not obliged to have a leash, are not obliged to have a muzzle, but you must have them under effectual control. If you have a dog and you're able to control it, then well and good. But if your dog is very excitable and approaches people or other animals, then this may cause considerable upset or fear for the other people or the other animal in question, even if you feel that your dog is doing no harm. So generally, if your dog is excitable and runs away from you to maybe greet or say hello to other dogs, some people might be allergic to dogs, some people have a general fear of dogs. Unfortunately, the definition your dog is not under effectual control.
Just don't want someone else's stinky animal near them.
That's true, yeah.
Now, before we get into the variations and that, I think really, though, people are going to say, yeah, but who's enforcing it? Is it like, so obviously it's the responsibility of the person, okay, but is it a council issue? Is it a Garda issue? Could I ring the Milford and say, look, there's someone walking the beach and they don't have effectual control of their dogs? I think that really is what it comes down to about enforcement, Ewan. Is that as clear?
Well, the council have if we move on to the blue flags, and we can move on to that, but in relation to effectual control of dogs, there are offences under the Dogs Act, and we, the Gardaí, have powers under the Dogs Act, the same as the dog warden in relation to not keeping your dog under effectual control. So it can be enforced by ourselves.
Right, on to the blue flag variations then.
So from the 1st of June this year on the 15th December, dogs are prohibited from blue flag areas at 12 of our Donegal beaches between the hours of 12 midday and 7 p.m. This is under a bylaw adopted by the Donegal County Council. Outside of these restricted times, dogs are permitted and welcome in all areas of the beach, but again, their owners are required to keep them under effectual control. Assistance dogs are permitted on beaches at all times.
Okay. Right, thanks for that, Ewan. What is the situation in relation to tinted windows or blacked out windows in cars?
Yeah, well, this is something that's very common with young males in the area at the time. So excessively tinted windscreens or front side windows present a significant safety hazard for vehicle drivers and their occupants. So your ability to see the road, to see pedestrians, see other cars is restricted by tinted windows. Visibility is greatly reduced, particularly for nighttime driving and at times of low light. So there are enforcement issues for us in Garda Síochána regarding to driver recognition, the detection of driving offences, again holding a mobile phone while driving, and other criminal activity. So the glass in the windscreen and front side windows of a car are required to have a light transmission level of not less than 65% in order to pass the NCT test. So if you don't pass the NCT test with your tinted window, then you shouldn't be driving the car on the road. So our colleagues in the road policing unit have a equipment that's called a Tint Master, which measures the light on your window, and they can stop you, measure your light, and issue a summons. Now, generally what the guys are doing is they're stopping you at the side of the road. You have your tinted window. If it's not within the regulations, they're asking you to tear it off at the side of the road. They're giving you an opportunity. If you do so, you probably won't be summoned. But if you refuse to do so and you drive on, a summons will issue.
Yeah, and it's for the front windows, isn't it? The driver, passenger front seat, and the windscreen, obviously.
Yes.
More so than anything. All right, listen, thank you very much for that.
No bother, Rick.
Stay where you are, Ewan, because as I mentioned at the beginning of this item, we're also in studio with Detective Garda Jared McCready, and we have some advice in relation to investment fraud and money muling. And it's important, isn't it, Jared, that people are fully aware of this, because as we've said in the past, ignorance is not a defence as such. Do you want to start with investment fraud? Maybe tell us what it looks like in the real world?
Yeah, I've got an example here, Greg, on a cryptocurrency investment scam, and it's I suppose it's raised its head over the last number of months. There's been a few incidents that we're aware of, and I think if I give kind of a step-by-step of the process of how the scam works, hopefully it'll raise some red flags to your listeners who might be in the process of investing. They might think they're investing with a genuine broker, so hopefully it'll be of some benefit to your listeners. So it's a kind of an elaborate scam, and it really has the potential to wipe out a huge portion of somebody's savings, and it relies on an app called AnyDesk or a similar apps, which is fast remote desk application, and it allows somebody to take remote control over somebody's device from a remote location. AnyDesk is a genuine app, and it is a great tool for businesses, but unfortunately it's been abused by the fraudsters. So how the scam would work is somebody who's wishing to invest in cryptocurrency, they'll often research the internet for assistance on how to invest, and in some cases they'll be asked to leave their contact details, and this is where the fraudster would contact them by telephone in most cases, and they'd be very friendly. They'd build up a relationship of trust with them, and then they'll assist them in setting up cryptocurrency accounts such as Binance, Coinbase, Crypto.com, and then they'll show them how to transfer funds from their bank account into those accounts, and nothing criminal has happened at this point. And then the investor may tell them that there's something huge happening on the markets, maybe a new cryptocurrency has been released and there's potential to earn huge amounts of cash from it, and they'd be willing to let them in on the action. And this is where the scam kind of starts, and the investor might even kind of invest maybe a small amount for them and get them a return to try and make them believe that they're genuine. And once they have the person on board, this is where the scam kind of starts. They'll ask them to download AnyDesk or a similar app onto their device.
TeamViewer would be another similar one.
Exactly, there's a couple of similar ones, yeah. Excuse me. And once that's downloaded, they'll ask them for the activation code, and the activation code then allows them to take control of their device, and they'll make up some kind of story that they want to monitor their investments to make sure they get that it works well for them. So once they're up and running, then they'll ask them to open a cryptocurrency wallet. And to open a cryptocurrency wallet, you're given 12 seed words, and that's kind of your password to get into the wallet. And the investor will be very staunch, saying, don't tell me your seed words, because I want you to know you're the only one that can access your wallet. Yes. But obviously, whenever they get their seed words, the person has remote access, and they're kind of spying, and they're collecting the seed words anyway. And then once they're up and running, then they'll say, right, invest as much as you can now, because this is happening. So we'll just take an example of a figure of €30,000. If somebody invests €30,000, the investor then will supply them with a link to a website, a web page, but it will be a fake web page, and it'll show €30,000, and it'll show all these graphs and figures moving about.
Small money working.
Yeah, and it shows the money rising. But while that's going on, the investor will actually log into their wallet and take their money.
Wow.
And they'll kind of put it through a network of other wallets to hide it, kind of launder it out. And the person's monitoring their fake website, thinking it's rising and rising, and the investor will tell them, look how well it's doing, maybe you should put in more. And if they put in, say, another 20, the investor will log in again, take their money, and show their fake website rising and rising.
It's scary because the funny thing is this kind of starts often with a person with a few bob to invest.
Exactly.
Googling where to.
Yes.
They can pay for their positions higher up the search.
Exactly.
So in other words, by the time the fraudster has engaged with them, they know they've got probably something to invest.
Exactly.
And they're prepared to invest their time, like you've been outlining there.
Yeah, it takes. It's not a quick process.
Yeah.
You know, it goes on for a number of weeks.
That's even more worrying that they're prepared to put so much time in, isn't it?
Exactly, yeah. So eventually somebody's going to want to withdraw some of their investment. It might have risen from their 50,000, maybe it might be up hovering around the 200,000 mark, and they'll go to investors, say, I want to withdraw some of my investment, and the investor will try and prolong it as much as possible, but they will say, okay, there's no problem, but there's a tax to be paid, and you can't pay your tax out of your investment because that's logged in. So you just need to maybe 10,000 tax if you just want to lodge that again, and they'll steal the 10,000, and they might come up with an insurance. Then they'll keep going until the person realises that it's been a con all along.
But the victim is seeing this chart showing their money working.
Exactly. So that's basically how it works, and just hopeful that some of your listeners, maybe if they are kind of interested in investing, just to make sure that they pick kind of regulated, reputable investment companies, and not to be picking somebody off.
And to be sure that they are, because I think up until time the penny drops, these people, these fraudsters, will give you the impression that they are trusting, reputable, like that. Say, don't give me your seed words.
Exactly.
That's for you. That you know what I mean. Yeah, so even at that stage, you might go, right, okay, I still trust this person.
Like they're professional, that's their job. That's how they make money, unfortunately.
And then to come back to the same well again, saying that I need the tax or the insurance, and then I can release.
Yeah, they'll keep going until the person actually realizes it's been a scam, and then they'll cut all contact. They'll stop answering emails. They'll stop answering the phone.
Yeah, and you'll think it's money in the bank, and it doesn't exist anymore.
It doesn't exist, and you've lost all your savings.
Okay, so that's the investment fraud. Now, money muling.
Excuse me.
Talk to us about money muling.
Yeah, money muling. I suppose the superintendent of GNECB was on the news there during the week talking about it, saying how much of a problem it is in Ireland. I myself have been going to secondary schools around Letterkenny, Balbafay, giving presentations on just to try and make young people aware at a young age of what is happening and try and protect them from getting recruited. So basically, a money mule is a person who allows the proceeds of criminal conduct transfer through their financial account on behalf of others for a commission. So that criminal conduct can be anything criminality, but in most cases what we're dealing with is online fraud. So they're recruited by criminals to receive the money into their accounts, and then they'll be asked to withdraw the money and get it returned to the criminal. So their bank account is being used to move the criminal funds. And even if the money mules aren't involved in the crime that generated the money, they're still illegally laundering the funds for criminal organisations. So there's three stages of money laundering. There's placement, layering, and integration. So the placement is when the money comes out of the injured party's account and it's placed into the money mule account, and then it's layered then through a network of other money laundering accounts, money mule accounts, in an effort to confuse the investigation, to kind of disguise the true source of where the funds came from, and then it's integrated back into the financial system where it's withdrawn, given back to the criminal, or used to make online purchases.
It's
cleaned, exactly. Yeah. So who's been recruited? The most common profiles are new arrivals into the country, the unemployed, students, and people in economic distress, and men more likely than women aged between 18 and 34 years of age.
Because it can seem like free money, effectively. Free money.
Free money, yes. And most, how are they recruited? They're mostly recruited through social media apps, because he's Instagram and that's Snapchat, but some are convinced to act as money mules from their peers. A lot of it would be college campuses, nightclubs, schools, youth clubs. That's they can be told by their peers, I got this amount of money for doing this, maybe you should do the same. And then why are they recruited? Money mules are essential to the process of many types of cybercrime. Account takeover, for example, where the IP may have been the victim of a bank-related smishing attack. Resulting from this attack, then access again to the IP accounts, and the funds are transferred through the money mule accounts and onto other money mule accounts until the funds are eventually withdrawn and returned to the criminal. The criminal is not going to use their own accounts for it to lead back to them, so they need the money mule accounts.
So if I'm down at college, I'm 18 years of age, someone comes up to me, what are they likely to say to me, or how is this going to be sold to me? Because it is complex, and you talk about the layering and the withdrawing and all, but the person that becomes the money mule doesn't see that. So what does that person say? What are they likely to say to you?
A lot of the examples that I would have come across would be people have been approached saying that my father is sending me money, but my account is broken.
Right.
Can I use your account? And I'll give you some money if you allow it. Or
is it often like 1,000, 500, 2,000, or does it vary?
It can vary. It can be up to 10. So there has been cases where up to 10,000. There has been more. There has been less. But as once that money goes into your account, if you were negligent not to carry out due process to find out where that money was coming from, that in the law, I'll go into the law in a minute, but in the law that is an offence.
And they're really quite serious consequences, especially for young people and their future. So they're likely to say to me, listen, can I have your bank details? I have to lodge 1,000 into it. You withdraw it, and sure you can keep 100 for yourself.
That's what's happening.
Or do you transfer it from that account? Is it January withdrawals?
It's so prevalent, Greg, that there's so many different ways that have some.
So it could be either.
In some cases, there's online purchases made, and the product then is delivered to an address that the criminal would have access to, and then go and collect the product and then sell it on, and then they have the money from the sale. It's transferred to a network of money mail accounts. Some of the money would be withdrawn in cash, got back. Some of it is wired out of the country. Some of it's put into cryptocurrency. It's just so vast of the amount of things that happen.
And I've read some cases where the money mules gave over their cards. Was that just in the couple of cases I read, or is
no? It does happen. Like I'm aware of. One case there, the person was given an address.
Yeah.
And they were asked to post their card. It was a PO box address, so they post their card and their PIN number to this address. The card was collected, and somebody went to a couple of different ATMs, withdrew all the money, even the money that belonged to the recruited money mule. They took that as well, so they just emptied the bank account.
Wow!
Yeah, so they just basically given away full control of their account to somebody else to use as they see fit.
Yeah, but these people can be desperate and trusting, and they can exploit that. But look, that, as I said, is not a defence. We are obliged to ensure that we know where money is coming from that goes into our accounts, and what are the punishments?
Yeah, the offence basically. I've just got the full offence here: money laundering. Contrary to Section 7 of the Criminal Justice Money Laundering, Terrorist and Finance Act 2010, is a person is guilty of money laundering if they commit any of the following acts: converting, transferring, handling, acquiring, possessing, or using property that the person knows or believes, and the important part then is reckless as to whether or not the property is the proceeds of criminal conduct. So the recklessness really is the one that is there. If somebody gives away their bank account to somebody else to transfer money, it's reckless not to find out where this money is going to come from. And the maximum penalty on indictment is 14 years in prison and a fine, or both. So the implications then for somebody that receives a conviction, so his conviction is huge for a young person. Employment, so they could have their employment opportunities limited and impacted upon vetting procedures. So once you're vetted, you have to give evidence of your convictions. If an employer sees you have conviction for money laundering, you might kind of have difficulty getting a job. Bank mortgaging is a possibility. You might not be able to open new bank accounts in the future. You might struggle to get mortgages. And then travel, likes of Australia, you must declare any convictions that have a visa will not be granted to anyone deemed high risk of engaging in criminal conduct
or involved in money laundering. Is what it would be in this instance. All right, okay.
Yeah.
Right, some sound advice, Jared. Very useful to actually get the examples as well.
Yes.
And I particularly think with that investment fraud, you can see how quickly you might think you're onto a good thing. And get involved,
The AnyDesk part of it is crucial. If anybody is asked to download AnyDesk, run away from it.
Right, okay.
That would be our advice.
And also the money muling, you have a responsibility to know where that money is coming from as well. Okay.
Yes.
Right, listen, thank you.
No problem.
I appreciate it. So that was Detective Garda Jerry McCready, and we also were in studio here with Garda Sergeant Ewan Walsh, who sat very patiently there. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right,
Very
take care of yourselves. Indeed it was. Okay, that was Community Garda information. It'll be available for you to re-listen to and re-watch on our Facebook page, Highland Radio News and Sport, and the Garda Síochána Facebook page a little later on, particularly maybe if you want to tag in some of the younger people or people that might be vulnerable to this type of criminal activity to have a look at. We're back with it live after the 10 o'clock news next Tuesday.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com.
The 9 till noon show brought to you by Kelly's Toyota Port Road, Letterkenny. Stockists of a wide range of used passenger and commercial vehicles.
The world is getting a little more. But maybe more could mean something else. More means more proactive green energy solutions. More means more wind turbines and more recycling. More means more biodiversity and more energy storage. More means more hydrogen and more solar farms, because more clean energy means more efficient living, means more thriving communities, means more energy autonomy. That's why we're more than Mona. Learn more at morethanmona.ie. Board na Mona.
Set yourself up for Slimming World success at Dunnes Stores. We've got a great range of Slimming World products, from sweet and sour chicken noodles for lunch to a hearty beef lasagna for dinner. All now exclusively available at Dunnes Stores. Order online for delivery or find them in the frozen aisle and save at the till with a 5 off 25 grocery voucher. Try the Slimming World range today, exclusively at Dunnes Stores. Always better value. Terms and conditions apply. Voucher can be used on next in-store grocery shop of €25 or more. Range available in selected stores only.
Do you suffer from high cholesterol, menopause symptoms, digestive issues, anxiety, aches and pains, or a lack of energy? The highly trained team at The Natural Way Letterkenny can provide advice on natural remedies for a number of individual health issues. The Natural Way also has its own brand of herbal treatments to help fight fatigue, relieve digestive discomfort, maintain a healthy immune system, and alleviate common menopause symptoms. The Natural Way at Letterkenny Shopping Centre, your one-stop health shop.
Hey folks, step into style at Grant's Shoes Buncrana. Fitting shoes for nearly 100 years. Big winter sale now on. Discover the latest trends for men, women and kids, all under one roof. Quality footwear that speaks volumes. Echo, Skechers, Bugatti, Una Healy, Riker, Clarks and many more. Grant's Shoes Buncrana. Big winter sale now on. Visit us today on Main Street Buncrana or check us out online. grantsshoes.com.
The 9 till noon show brought to you by Kelly's Toyota, where you can care for your car with Toyota Relax, giving you a year's warranty with your service. Terms and conditions apply.
It's the Right Price Tiles and Wood Flooring half-price sale. Get up to 50% off all tiles. Wood flooring, bathware, cladding, everything's reduced. Tiles from only $8.99 per square yard and wood flooring from only $11.99 per square yard. Right Price Tiles and Wood Flooring half-price January sale is now on.
Guess what? It's now simpler than ever to look after your health with the new Gut Shot from M&S Food and the scientists at Zoe. Combining delicious taste with scientific research is a great way to give your gut a good dose of fibre and a source of calcium, which supports the normal functioning of your tum. And it contains over 5 billion live cultures from 14 different strains of bacteria. This is not just a gut shot. This is our ultimate gut shot from M&S Food and Zoe.
Actions speak louder than words, so I'll keep the words to a minimum. Last year, thousands of people chose SEAT for their new car. Why? Because with the Arona, Ateca and Tarraco, we have a stunning lineup of SUVs. And we offer a wide range of purchase options to suit your needs. To see what you've been missing out on, visit SEAT.ie and check out our 241 offers. Visit SEAT.ie. What? What are you waiting for? Go on. SEAT.ie for our 241 offers.
Charlie McClafferty Funeral Directors, serving Letterkenny and the surrounding areas for over 100 years. Charlie McClafferty Funeral Directors. Let our family take care of your family and guide you through a difficult time.
Highland Radio weather updates brought to you by Grant. Building a new home? Choose Grant's A++ rated Arona air to water heat pump and Uflex underfloor heating. Visit grant.ie.
Okay, the weather forecast now. I can tell you that cloud will gradually break up this morning with some good sunny spells developing, staying mainly dry too with easterly breezes, but it's still rather cold with temperatures struggling to reach highs of 2 to 4 degrees. We're joined on the programme now by Sinn Féin Deputy Padraig McLaughlin. Good morning to you, Deputy. Thank you very much for your time today.
Good morning, Greg.
I just note we got clarification from An Garda Síochána there that both the Gardaí and the fire service responded to a report of a fire at a building on Main Street, Buncrana, shortly after 1 a.m. this morning. They tell us that all occupants of the building were evacuated safely and a number were taken to LUH for possible smoke preliminary indications are that the fire started and was confined within one room within the building. So it seems that it was started from within. That's what the Gardaí are saying. But you look forward to that investigation progressing and concluding. Is there any concern that this may have been started deliberately, or what are you hearing?
No, we don't have that information. I suppose, first of all, I want to thank the emergency services for tremendous work last night. Thankfully, nobody was seriously injured, as I understand. And as you've said, a number of people were taken to hospital.
Actually, can I just add something?
Seriously.
Can I add something to it? Sorry, just to better frame your comments, Deputy, because as I say, I literally just got that press release in, and it says that preliminary indications are that this fire is unlikely to have been caused by malicious intent, which I think is just an important thing, and I don't want your comments to be framed without that information, if that makes sense. So it would appear that this is a fire that started within, and there's been some speculation that it may have been malicious, but the Gardaí's initial investigations are that it wasn't malicious. So it comes down to then, I suppose, the quick responses of the emergency services and limiting injury.
Yeah, and that's welcome confirmation from the Gardaí that the initial information is that it wasn't malicious. I think for all of us in the community in Buncrana, I mean, this is an apartment, high up above the main street, and it could have been a desperate tragedy. So there's no doubt that the emergency services deserve huge credit for their hard work last night, and thank God nobody's been seriously injured, and hopefully, they'll get a full understanding of how all of this happened as soon as possible.
Yeah, indeed. Okay. Now, you also have been commenting on social media about what seems like almost a mass exodus to Australia in just 1 year. I think it's over 20,000 young people primarily, but not exclusively, have received visas to work in Australia. I mean, how many of those are going to sort of experience things and better their lives and come home, and how many feel they have to leave here because there's no options for them? You seem to be putting most of the blame at the feet of the government, though.
Yeah, I think it's the numbers, Greg. I mean, listen, when I was very young, I spent a number of months in Chicago, and I've seen for myself, and the vast majority of young people at that time were from Donegal in the west of Ireland. So there's always been big emigration from particularly Donegal and, of course, right down the west over the years. But in the past, that was down to a lack of jobs and opportunity. If you look at just that 1 year period from mid-22 to midway through last year, just 1 year, 21,500 of our young people went to Australia for work. And, we know this because anecdotally across Donegal, we're seeing the images on social media of, football teams wishing their players well, and, the going away parties. And, we knew that there was a very big numbers, but this information is quite dramatic because we haven't seen anything like this ever, actually, to Australia, even in the days of high immigration.
But if you look at returning immigrants, the figure is less than 1,000 if you want to balance it over the course of 2023. Do you get any comfort from that? That really, between people going and people coming back, we're down about 900 if you look at the figures overall.
Yeah, you see, if young people are going for life experience, that's not a bad thing at all. I think it's actually a good thing to experience another country, another culture, and to broaden your horizon. That's not an issue. But I'm absolutely convinced that the cost of rent and cost of housing in places like Donegal is now a big problem for us and is driving our young people away. I mean, if you look at rents, and you know this, Greg, I mean, rents in Donegal for a small family home have doubled, over the last number of years. If you look at house prices, there's a serious crisis now where the Society of Chartered Surveyors Ireland recently revealed that to buy a 3-bedroom, semi-detached new home in Donegal, a family would have to earn €85,000. I mean, I don't know too many young couples that are earning a combined €85,000, but that's where we're at. So unless we grapple with the rent, cost of rent, the cost of housing, we are going to lose more of our young people. And
I see part of your plan, your party's plan, I beg your pardon, is to drive down the cost of housing. Is that wise to effectively what you're doing is, like, there's lots of people, I'd be amongst them, I can't afford to pay into a pension, right? So really the only thing I will ever really probably leave behind me of any consequence is my property. But the Sinn Féin would like to see the value of that asset driven down. I can understand the reason why, but do you not expect there could be a pushback or a kickback from this, because you are really effectively seeking to drive down for what is a lot of people their only asset, the price of it, the value of it?
Yeah, that's how it's been framed. I mean, what we've actually said is we want to build affordable housing that is genuinely affordable. So if you look at the historical way that a mortgage was reckoned, is that you would look at the combined income of the family, the annual income, sustainable income, and you multiply it by 4. Now, if you do that in Donegal, I mean, the sums don't add up. I mean, the market right now, and the price that's been asked for a new house in Donegal, and you see it in all the estate agents, is just beyond the average income multiplied by 4. So that's what we have to get to. And I was very encouraged by the opinion poll at the weekend, where a very large majority of people agreed that we need to deliver affordable housing for our families.
Well, it's the number one priority, is the reality, isn't it?
It has to be, Greg. And, it's a social contract. This is a social contract that our young people, we say to them, go away and get a university education or train up in a skill, and work hard, and you will be able to put a roof over your head, comfortably put a roof over your head. And we're not talking about a mansion here. We're talking about a basic family home that every family should have a right to do. And right now, I'm really concerned about this, because if you look at social housing, you can't go on the social housing list if you earn over €30,000 as a family. So that those families earn over 30,000, which I would say is most families combined, can't go on the social housing list. There's no help for them there. Then they have to earn around €85,000 to buy a brand new modern home. So, you can see that there's a huge cohort of young people that are in serious trouble here unless we intervene. And what does affordable housing mean? It means that you build on public land, sell at cost price. That is a realistic price for families to afford. That's an intervention made by government.
So you're saying creating a market that greatly reduces the overall value of property. You're saying that is not the party's aim?
No. What I'm saying is that we want to build affordable housing right now for families who are just priced out of the market. And I deal with these families all the time.
Indeed. Listen, we're going to be a minute late to the news, but I just want to ask you in relation to really strong criticism of Sinn Féin MLA Jerry Kelly. He's been accused by a judge of illegal action, using illegal action as a slap, really, which is illegal action taken to discourage legitimate scrutiny by the media and by political opponents. Your own party leader, Mary Luke MacDonald's, also taken defamation action, as has other members of the party. And we've had some contact from some today saying, look, what would the media look like under Sinn Féin? Want to avoid any critique or questioning or criticism. Have you any concerns that you're litigious happy in Sinn Féin trying to stifle the media?
Well, I mean, clearly some of our TDs and MLAs, have taken cases because they believe that their reputation was damaged. In the case of Jerry Kelly, the judge has ruled, and I totally accept that decision. But it's a matter for any individual, Fianna Fáil, independent, Sinn Féin, Labour, if you feel, or indeed any citizen, if you feel that somebody has said something that has crossed the line, that has damaged your reputation, you have a right to defend your good name. But also, if a judge decides that's not the case, I absolutely accept that.
There is always going to be, I mean, at the end of the day, it is, if you sue me, Pádraig, because you think that I said something that I shouldn't have said about you, it is going to potentially affect any interactions we have in the media going forward. Do you know what I mean? It's a tough old game. Politicians do at least some of them, maybe some of your party members have to thicken up the skin a little bit. We're in a very small pool of politics and journalism in this country.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I have no fear of criticism. I mean, I put my my head forward as a public representative. I have no fear of it. I get it all the time, and sometimes it's justified and sometimes it's not. But the issue is that, you know, if somebody has said an untruth and damaged my name or reputation, like any other citizen, I have a right to defend myself and take a court case. And if I win or lose, that's a matter, you know, for the judge to decide. In this case, the judge decided Jerry Kelly didn't have his reputation damaged, but in other instances, you know, it was a case that reputations were damaged. I mean, it's up to journalists to just make sure that they know the boundaries, they know what they can and can't say, and it's up to them to make sure they get it right and be fair. And of course they need to criticise, of course they need to hold everybody to account, but just to get that balance right. Okay, listen, thanks for that. Always prepared to answer the questions. That I do appreciate. That's Sinn Féin Deputy Padraig McLaughlin there. All right, it is just 3 minutes past 11.
The county's #1 talk show, The 9 till Noon Show on Highland Radio.
So it is time for a news update, and it is good morning to Michaela Clark.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. Part of Buncrana remains closed off today following a fire last night. The blaze broke out at apartments above a restaurant on Main Street shortly after 1 a.m. All occupants were evacuated and a number taken to Letterkenny University Hospital for treatment to possible smoke inhalation. A large amount of money and a substantial amount of valuable jewellery has been stolen from a house in Letterkenny. A safe within the property at Creve was forced open and a number of rooms ransacked between 3 p.m. on Wednesday last and 12:10 a.m. on Thursday. Among the items of jewellery stolen was a white gold diamond and sapphire engagement ring, a yellow gold and diamond wedding ring, diamond sapphire earrings and diamond drop earrings. Meanwhile, Gardaí have described the damaging of headstones in the graveyard at St Junan's Cathedral, the Diamond Rafo, as despicable. Damage was caused to 8 headstones. Some were broken, while others were pulled out of the ground between December the 19th and January the 3rd. Meanwhile, on January the 3rd, between 12:10 p.m. and 2 p.m, a person entered the graveyard and pushed over a headstone. The Enhanced Effective Concrete Block Grant Scheme is designed not to work. That's according to an affected homeowner and campaigner. Paddy Dibber says there's widespread frustration among those impacted with their mental health suffering as a result. Gardaí are continuing to appeal to anyone with information in connection with a fatal crash at Listrin on Friday to come forward. 22-year-old Layla Hassan Ali died after she was hit by a car on the main road between Letterkenny and Kilmacrennan. Public sector pay talks are resuming before the Workplace Relations Commission today. The previous deal, Building Momentum, expired at the end of 2023, with a new deal yet to be agreed. Unions have been threatening to ballot their members for industrial action as concerns were raised about the slow pace of negotiations. An investigation is underway after a shop was broken into in Kildare overnight. It's believed McGuinness's Greengrocers was targeted. No further details are known at this time. And a Donegal doctor is warning of a rise in cases of scabies. The condition is a highly contagious skin infestation caused by mites that get under the skin and lay eggs. An increase in the condition has been reported in the UK also, with fears extreme shortages of treatments will lead to the spread of it. Those are the latest headlines. We'll be back with an update again at 12 noon.
Michaela, thank you very much indeed. And we'll be back with more in the 9 till Noon Show after we take a break.
The 9 till Noon Show brought to you by Kelly's Toyota Port Road, Letterkenny. Home to a wide range of Toyota commercial vehicles. Your perfect business partner.
Loganaire's big summer sale is here. Save up to 15% off on over 1 million seats across the UK. Book by 9th January, travel from 1st February. Subject to availability, exclusions apply. Visit loganair.co.uk. Loganair, your journey, our joy.
January Super Savers at Homeland. Barry's Tea 600 cups only $19.99. Nutrius Complete Nutrition dog and cat food save 20%. Flowgas 75-pound propane cylinder only $64.99. Regatta clothing save 20% across all lines. Shop all offers in store and online at homeland.ie. Offers available until January 21st.
Are you a car mechanic interested in learning about electric vehicles? Northwest Regional College is delivering a 15-week course which will provide learners with a Level 4 UK or Level 6 Irish electric vehicle qualification. This cross-border programme is funded by the Department for the Economy in partnership with ATU, NWRC and the Northwest Tertiary Education Cluster. Applications close on the 19th of January at noon. Visit nwrc.ac.uk to find out more.
Well, Grace, how are you today?
I'm good. I've just been down to the Made to Measure Fireplaces showroom in Creasla. They have an incredible selection of over 40 colours for kitchen worktops. And guess what? For a limited time, they're offering a 40% discount on any electric fire when you purchase a worktop there.
40%? That's an amazing deal, Grace.
Absolutely. And trust me, if the discount alone doesn't sway you, their huge selection of fireplaces, stoves, wood pellet burners, beams and stone cladding certainly will.
Contact Made to Measure Fireplaces Creasla on 074 91 38 365 on Facebook, Instagram and on ntmfireplaces.ie.
Keep out the cold, cold, cold and ring Fleming for their full range of garage doors, agri doors, insulated doors, milking parlour doors. Fleming, 91 48 234.
There's always great value with our Spar range, with up to 33% savings versus branded equivalents. Like Spar Pasta range 500 gram and Spar Bolognese and Carbonara sauces 390 and 400 gram only €1 each. Spar Real Irish Butter 454 gram only €2.99. Spar 4-pack fire logs and Spark Fire Bag 3.4 kilo any two for €11. That's our great value Spar range wherever you see the tree. Available in participating Spar and Eurospar stores while stocks last until January 17th.
All right, you're very welcome back to the 9 till noon show here on Highland Radio. We're joined on it now by Brendan Devaney, presenter of the DL Debate. Hi, Brendan. Are you there, Brendan? No, we aren't joined by Brendan Devaney. So we'll come back to that in a moment. We're going to be speaking about the potential 8-week ban from all GE activity to do with the seniors of Jim McGuinness. That's going to be coming up in a while. We want your views on that as well, by the way. 086 60 25,000 WhatsApps and texts to that number. But we've loads of issues, stuff coming in on different topics, of course. We were speaking about scams. Josephine's listening in Strabane. Josephine, great to have you on board. Scammers are ringing me to say that they're taking over the heating in my house. They were looking for my bank details. They rang me multiple times a day yesterday. They were ringing every 5 minutes. I know they're not legit, as the council pay for my heating and the council don't ask for money. How do I go about trying to get them to stop? It's a tough one. Any advice, please pass it on. On investment scams, every day a man rings me looking for €250 in investments. I complained to the banks and thankfully they gave me my money back. I should have known better, as he called me Mr. George. Nobody in this day and age calls you that, indeed. Well, listen, I'm glad that you got the money returned to you. But yeah, we have to keep our eyes and ears open. Brendan Devaney's there now. Good morning, Brent.
Good morning, Greg.
Right, okay, we were talking about this yesterday and the speculation, what we were speculating about came to pass. Finbar Rorty, he was 17 when he played against Armagh last Wednesday night, a day before his 18th birthday, and the way the rules have been enforced since 2016, that would preclude him, would it, from playing for Donegal for all of 2024?
Yeah, that's the rules, Greg. He can play for his club now, so you could have a scenario where he obviously has a very successful club, and they were kick a ball away from the Ulster final, which we've seen played out a few weeks back with massive crowds and that. So he potentially could play in games as big as that, but not for his county. But listen, this is about protection of young players, and you know, I agree with the stance the GA have taken on protecting young players. But I think in this instance, this is a ridiculous outcome to this situation.
But the rules are the rules. Should someone not have known that this was the situation and double-checked, triple-checked and made sure that we weren't contravening the rules?
Yeah, but there's rules, Greg, and there's rules, right? Every competition needs framework and rules, but let's put this into context for a second here. These rules were brought out to protect young players, right? It was changed in 2016. Who exactly is going to know when this rule was changed? You know, it's in a massive rule book. It's a small change to the thing that a lad can't play, as you said, until the following season from the calendar year they turns 18. So this was the rule was brought in. Nobody really knew about it. Now, if you look at that game, the Kenna Cup game, pretty irrelevant. Armagh sent down their under-20s team, basically. Kieran McGeeney wasn't even there. I mean, Armagh played Dublin a friendly in the same week. I don't know if it was at the same night, but they weren't even there. So really, this was a mistake by people that maybe should have known the rules, as you said, but it was really a small glitch. Now, to blame Jim McGuinness for this in some way, I mean, let's just say across the water, Man City had an issue with a registered player. The registration wasn't through properly. Do you think Pep Guardiola gets banned for 8 weeks? I mean, that's absolutely ridiculous. And if you look at it, the bigger picture in this, why was this rule brought in? To protect young players. Therefore, at the start of the season, if somebody makes an error in an irrelevant game, then you just say, here, that lad can't play. Okay, throw out a fine or say something or give the county board a slap on the wrist, the secretary or whoever. But you just say, here, that lad can't play. You're not exposing him to a season. You're not exposing him to what this rule is about, which is protecting the player. So they lump an 8-week ban on Jim McGuinness. I think that's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, there's no doubt that they'll ask for a hearing on this, and
it's not just a sideline ban, Brendan, either. This would be taking him out of training and coaching and what have you as well, if I understand it correctly. I mean, it's an incredibly tough sanction, isn't it, for fielding a player one day off their 18th birthday in a throwaway competition?
Yeah, and Greg, on top of that, listen, I don't even want to mention the young lad, really, because again, at his age, this is a lot of hype to put on him and what should have been a very happy occasion for him. And we've from Jim's time in the past, if you look at it, he obviously gave Patrick McBurdy his debut on the same day he played for Donegal Miners against Antrim. Michael Murphy played for Donegal when he was 17. There's certain lads that are ready, but then the rules were changed, and they're all in agreement. And if you look at the young fella, potentially like in any season there, at his age, if he's good enough, he's going to play like with his club underage, his school, his county. He could play with 2 county teams, and then he'd be pulled into his senior team. And so you're on about 5 or 6 teams could be pulling at the lad. So the GAA is trying to say, right, hold on, this can't happen. But that's a long-term rule to stop long-term abuse of young players that are getting pulled everywhere by managers. So if in one game, if there's a mistake in there, why is there all this hype around it? Should they not just have went to Donegal and said, hold on a second, that lad actually can't play, you broke the rule, and let's say here. And everybody in the country now would wake up and go, wait, hold on, that can't happen.
Yeah,
this
but even they need to look at this rule, don't they, of the age on the first day of the year. That rules this young fella of an amazing potential experience over the course of 2024. Even that needs to be adjusted where it's middle of the year or end of the year or something. I don't know, but to rule someone out for the whole year because their birthday just happens to be at the start of January, because you talked about all of the different directions a player could be pulled in, but your club and your county, if you could line them up, that would be 1 and 2.
Yeah, 100%. And following Greg, from when we were growing up, I was born in December, which was a disaster because you missed a full year. But listen,
right,
the date usually born in January is a brilliant thing because you have a full year nearly, and some other lads you might be playing against. But listen, the rule is brought in. I totally understand the fact that they tweaked it between club and county. You can understand how somebody might miss that. And again, if this is a big game and somebody comes in that's not properly registered and they influence a game, and I get all that, and rules have to be adhered to. But if this rule is meant to protect overexposure of young fellas, and as soon as the fella plays, it's highlighted, then it's done its job for me. It's already said he can't play. We want to protect him. He's too young to be down to Donegal, and they're the rules.
But listen, at the end of the day, though, at the end of the day, Brendan, isn't this how it works, really? The powers that be will want to be seen to be implementing the GAA rule book. So they've done that. But there is a process to be gone through now. They don't want to surely be seen to be taking Jim McGuinness out of the scene for 8 weeks for Donegal, especially with the excitement and build-up heading towards the game against Cork and beyond that. So we're bound to come up with a middle ground here, aren't we? Whereby his job, doing his job as he wants to, but also the rules are seen, at least in the first instance, to have been fully adhered to. Isn't that how it works? We'll come up with a wee solution here, won't we?
Yeah, but you're like, why the need for that? Why isn't there a bit of sense here? As I say, when you look at the bigger picture of the rule, we've had instances there with players and situations, and if you look at the club final last year with the 16 players in the pitch, like they're proper instances where someone has messed up, and the actual outcome of the whole competition or the game, which was a final, is a question mark around it. So they're pretty big things, and you can see all the furore in it. With this here, if you look at this rule, which is about protecting players long term, or young players, if someone makes it and straight away it's highlighted, then the rule for me has already done its job in terms of, right, he can't play, we don't want that to happen. Why is there this need for a sanction? And listen, I think it's a touchline thing, but listen, I could be wrong. But again, even that, as you said, with all the hype that's around Jim now and with the GA and that, I mean, regardless of that, people will say it shouldn't matter who it is or what the situation is, but I just think there has to be, we're looking at common sense. Jim, for one, if you look at the team Jim around him, he has a massive team around him. Why? Because he needs that. And what is his job? He's concentrating on developing those players, on getting them to their best, and getting the group fit, and getting their tactics in place, and getting everybody in their position where Donegal can compete for honours.
Okay, well,
so
listen.
The sideline of registration or that rule that was changed in 2016, how would he be aware of that? So would he blame him for that? I don't know. That's okay. To me, it's no sense.
I have a feeling that common sense will prevail, but in the first instance, the rules were seen to be put in place. But look, you were at the game at the weekend. I'm not sure if you were at the Armagh game or not. It's two games, the Armagh game for what it was, I don't know. It's always good to beat Tyrone if you're a Donegal fan. What's your takeaway in terms of how he's putting the team out, how they're playing, how they're pressing? Do you think he's changing the game, playing it a different way? What's he trying to achieve there, and from your perspective?
Greg, straight away you can see a different vibe in the team, the fitness levels, and I think particularly if you base it on last year, the team came in very late, and there obviously was issues around training and even S&C, and Donegal got off to such a slow start that they were playing catch up, and that's why you had the horrific league campaign that they had. Now, they did obviously stabilise coming into the championship, obviously after the first round exit to Down, which really looked like we were going down a terrible path. It was like a write-off season, but they did stabilise. So what you see now with Donegal is, and you can see it in their legs, and some of the runs were made during that match by a lot of our players. They've already upped the gears in terms of training. So instead of coming into the league a bit flat, it's going to be the direct opposite this year. You have players back that hadn't played last year, likes of Ryan McHugh, Shane O'Donnell there the last day flying, Patter Mogan, injury-free, moving brilliant. Langan as well, injury-free. So a lot of the players are coming back. Players are injury-free. You can see the training and the buzz is up. So, listen, McKenna Cup, there's loads of different things being trialled. It's early January, but I think it's going to be a completely different Donegal this year. And based on what the lads did last year, and I keep going back, they really pulled it together in the group stages of the championship to come through. And they give that Derry team a great game for 45 minutes or so without all those players missing. So, that's why I think a lot of people in Donegal are really positive going into this season, because there's no doubting that Donegal will be a completely different force this year, and they'll have another 6 or 7, 8 players added to what they had last year. So, listen, looking forward to it. And this is why it's a bit of a, how do you say, it's a wee bit of a sickener in terms of, there's a great buzz around Donegal. Now we have this silly situation happen. So, as you say, hopefully common sense
I think it will.
comes in.
Yeah, I think it will, without a doubt, because, as I say, the game needs the Jim McGuinness as well. It's not just about county, it's the national element to it as well. As always, Brendan, thank you very much indeed. Take care of yourself. Brendan Devaney there, who is presenter of Highland Radio's DL debate. 086 60 25,000 is the WhatsApp and text number if you want to get involved in the conversation, or give us a call on 074 91 25,000. Right. Let us take a break. Back with more after these.
The county's #1 talk show, The 9 Till Noon Show on Highland Radio.
The 9 Till Noon Show brought to you by Kelly's Toyota, where you can now test drive the new Toyota CHR, combining standout styling, an engaging drive, and class-leading efficiency.
Watson Menswear's big January sale is now on, in store and online, with great discounts across top names in menswear, like Andre, Tom Penn and Rimazumo. Also big savings on Superdry, Penguin and Tommy Bow footwear. Don't miss out on some great bargains in the big January sale, now on at Watson Menswear, Main Street, Letterkenny, and online at watsonmenswear.com.
Every year, about 2,600 people in Ireland get bowel cancer. Bowel screening helps to reduce your risk of developing it. The age range for bowel screen is changing. If you're aged 59 to 69, register for a free bowel screen test kit. Once you've done the test at home, return it by free post and we'll test your sample. If you need follow-up tests, we'll let you know. Register today at bowelscreen.ie or free phone 1800 45 45 55 from the HSC.
The life of a Charlie's Chip is never dull. Once they're selected, they're off to Charlie's, where they lose the jacket, have a nice wash, and once they get into shape and get ready, out they go to meet the public, side by side with a nice burger, some fish or chicken. Enjoy Charlie's Chips to sit in or take away daily from 12 to 8 at Pierce Road, Letterkenny. When the hunger hits, pull into Charlie's.
Highland Radio time checks with Expressway. Travel Route 32 from Letterkenny to Dublin when you book online and travel for less. Expressway, bringing you the time at...
The time is 11:23. You're very welcome back. We got a note in from St. Joseph's Hospital, St. Joseph's Community Hospital in Stranorlar, and it says, Dear 9 till Noon show, I'm writing you in relation to your very generous donation of €500 to the Patients Comfort Fund and the gift hamper. Thank you for your visit to St. Joseph's, and it made our Residents' Day memorable. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you, as this is greatly appreciated. Well, listen, in the run-up to Christmas, it was one of the highlights for me anyway. In that Christmas week, we visited a number of nursing homes, community care settings, and it was wonderful. And we were able to leave a lovely big hamper and €500 for the Comfort Fund for each of those places too. Right, okay, we're talking Shop LK now, and if you're watching the programme, you'll see over my back of my shoulder, under my telly on top of the radiator, €5.7 million and change. We're going to put that into context now, because we're joined in studio by two guests. They are namely Tony Forrester, CEO of Letterkenny Chamber, and our own Fionnuala Rabbit, who's president of Letterkenny Chamber. Both of you, thank you so much for joining us. It's been great to have you in.
Good to be back.
Right, Shop LK. Tony, I'll start with you if that's all right. A huge success this year.
Absolutely delighted. I kept being challenged, will it go over 5 this year? And I'm like, no, don't think we'll make it. Last year was 4.1. No, but I am stunned by the figure we've got today. Over 5.7 million is just a huge figure for considering this a Letterkenny card. It's just to be used in Letterkenny.
Yeah, and Fionnuala Rabbit, that's a really important part of this. It's not really about, oh, look, we've created a card, look how popular it is. It's actually where the money goes as well. It's feeding in. This is where this is why it's such a wonderful initiative.
Well, that's what it's so fantastic. I mean, we're heading into the 20th year of a Shop LK scheme that was set up by the Chamber long before my time, even being here in Donegal. And it's just grown and grown all the time. And I mean, that 5.7 million this year was such a tremendous figure to hit. But I think the other thing that people need to realise is that very rarely do people just spend what's on their card.
Yeah, for sure.
Stats have shown us that people actually spend almost up to 4 times what the figure is, which means that this is going to be anything up to 20 million that will be spent in or around the Letterkenny area, in the Letterkenny shops and services, both retail and services. We've members, Shop LK members from all different areas that accept the card, and it just means that that's a huge figure that will be spent in the next year, 2 years. I know the cards lasted, I think it's 5 now, isn't it, with the new thing? But to be honest, I'd say most people have them spent by the time the year is out.
Well, I want to focus on that, because it's important people get out and spend the money on the cards as well too, because some of us can be quite lackadaisical in that regard and just have it sitting there, and then we realise a year later, oh, it's there. That money's there to be spent.
Absolutely, and I know myself. You sometimes you get Christmas presents or different things through work, because a lot of this might be vouchers and bonuses people got through work, and it kind of goes up in the press, and then you might forget about it until you're clearing out the press. One thing to remember is, yes, they do last up to 5 years, but the other thing is it's no good having the money sitting there. It's not earning you any interest. It's not earning you any,
and it's not feeding into the local economy.
Exactly,
such at that
it's not
point.
doing anything. It's not doing anything to help you or to help the local economy, as you say. So people should be, get out and spend it and think about it. And as I said, it's not just, sometimes people think with these cards, it's just retail. It is obviously retail, but it's not just retail. There's a lot of services, and you can check out the Chamber website and you'll see the list of all the shops and that, or check out our socials and that, and you'll see them all the time listed, the different businesses across Letterkenny that are involved.
Yeah, now, in relation to where the cars are being bought, obviously with tax and all that kind of stuff, a lot of them are businesses who would be buying them as bonuses. But it's not all that. I mean,
No.
That's obviously going to be a significant part of it, but there's more to it than that.
We think about 75% are corporate. But that's anything from the big corporates buying for all their staff to the tiny businesses who directors buy them and whatever. Now, the government incentive of the €1,000 tax-free is huge, and that probably increased the programme last year, probably fairly substantially. But we thought that would sort of stabilise. But that seems to be keeping on going, and it's great that the Irish government do that. So with 75%, but also our ordinary person buying it has increased as well. It's phenomenal. We had a pop-up shop in the Courtyard Shopping Centre. They're very good to keep us there. And we only had it open for December. And it just blew our socks off, in terms of it was a queue every single day, 10 people long. And people were, our young people spend them in young people's shop.
Yeah,
you
for
give
sure.
a penny.
I know. I'd be in there spending mine, and I bump into other young people as they do.
Yeah,
I'm
sure you
that's
do.
what you
Yeah,
meant,
yeah.
Of course,
Yes, of course I meant you.
That's,
Yeah, of course I meant you.
that's one of the youngest broadcasters here in Highland Radio. Just going to the first page of where you can spend these. This is just to emphasise the point you make. It's a minimum of 254 outlets. Gibbons Tyres, Gortley Tyres. Do you know what I mean? Tyres in the car. Abracadabra, get yourself a kebab. Haven't had one of those for ages. Financial advice. Aldi. Amazona's outdoor store. Brilliant store, actually, that is. If you just want to go in and look around, you'll come out with something. The theatre. Tickets to a show. Arena 7.
Island Radio.
I'm on the A's here. Give me a chance. Atlantic Travel. Do you know what I'm on about? Like, if you have one of those, say you got a couple £100, that's a big chunk off your your early summer break or something.
I would say that some people joined us a number of years ago when the larger companies buy them for their staff, and some people joined us purely because they knew these were going out, and they would raise. So people go in and they say to the outlet, "Do you take these?" And then we might get a phone call saying, "Could we take these?" So and it's brilliant.
Well, you see, that's why that's why it's successful. You see, because it's a competitive advantage now to accept them. You're starting to get into a winning formula.
And
there.
if I would say years ago, people, when the scheme was first out, it was Pour My Time, but they talked about, should this just be local? Should just be, independence? But it was always agreed in the Chamber that this would be, everybody could be in this. Anybody who's based in Letterkenny could be in Shop LK. Yeah. And it's proven to be the right way to do it, because everybody, if you were saying about maybe putting it in the press, people use it for their groceries. Even before Christmas, we can see them being spent in various places, or they use them for their daily shopping. Because you can then put the few hundred you maybe got on the card in a way for something special later.
And I think too, there are people who would be a little bit, do you take them? Like, I wouldn't be the type that would ask, So that's why the website's useful. You can check in advance. It can be Air, Currys, Intersport, Highland, and on it goes and on it goes. And as I say, it's important now to transfer that into the potential 20 million in the local economy, because these are the businesses for the most part that support our charities, that offer prizes for raffles, and that employ our children, employ us, pay our mortgages. Okay, so that's good. All right, okay, I think that's a really huge number for as we head into 2024. What do you think 2024 holds for us, Fionnuala? Things seem to have held up. We are looking at... what are you laughing at?
I don't know. I suddenly think I turned psychic over the Christmas, but I appreciate your confidence in me.
Well, maybe you could look at your sentiment reports. Maybe look at the fact that interest rates might be coming down. Maybe try and spread a little bit of positivity. Do you want to swap seats?
There's a thought.
Oh, come here.
Oh, no, God, no. I definitely end up in court.
I couldn't even talk her into to an evening show. I did try about 3 or 4 years ago. Not that I have the power, but I thought you should be doing it for me.
I'd definitely get into trouble. No, I think, look at it. I think the year is starting strong, and hopefully that's what's going to keep going through. And I think that's the main thing. What it is, what we're here to do is to support business. As part of the chamber, we want to support, businesses, local businesses here in Letterkenny, but also businesses throughout the county. A lot of the work that we do is not just local, but it's also national and international. Through Chambers Ireland, we do a lot of work. I know there's trips to Brussels and different things that are coming up during the year. We hope to be going up and down to the Dáil and that in the near future. We've got a few elections coming up now this year, and we'll be seeing a national election within the next 12 to 14 months or so. So I think that's why the Chamber is so important, that we have a strong voice and that we're there to be able to promote not just the good things, but also to be able to highlight the things that need to be sorted out and worked on in the county. But all in all, I think the beauty of Donegal is the way that people work together for the strength and for the growth of the county. There's a great kind of collaboration, I think, between all, not just businesses, but other stakeholders. Like, we've always gotten great support from the council. We get great support from businesses. Our relationships with Letterkenny, Derry Chamber of Commerce and ourselves. We do projects with Sligo, we do projects with Galway, and these are all things that are all about promoting the west of Ireland. I think that's really what I look forward to for the next year, is that we keep this positivity going.
I suppose we're always trying to err on the positive side. So we've had our challenges. Businesses have had their challenges.
Well, God knows I tried to set it up for that. She wouldn't bite, Tony.
She did her way.
I don't have a crystal ball.
I'm a very positive person. I think.
I know.
I've lost my truth.
You were going to talk about 2024.
Yeah. So, and I think there were challenges last year, and there will be challenges. There's a few bits of legislation coming in for businesses that will put their costs up, and you can only pass so much of that on to customers. But I suppose I was saying this to somebody yesterday. I look back at all these years I've been around for, this is my 17th year, and you kind of go through all the adversity and all the stuff we've gone through. People, our businesses who want to be there and they want to be in business, and they keep on going, and they just have to sway with whatever's happening. They can't change. We can lobby, which we do, but we can only change certain things. Now, there's a few things that we definitely know. The housing needs to be sorted. It's affecting all our businesses, all of that, and the cost of childcare. Big things like that we need to sort. But and the Chamber will do what they can for that. And
I think really it's having the environment, Fionnuala, that allows the growth potential that's there, because it's frustrating if you have an area that can grow and grow and grow. And I think Letterkenny and Donegal is that. But the infrastructure, and I don't mean physical necessarily, it has to be there to permit that growth as well. We don't want to be stymied here, do we? We want to be able to not hit a glass ceiling, but to realise our full potential. And that's where the Chamber's relationship with the government, or whatever government might be coming in, or the business minister or whatever, that's why that's really important, that lobbying.
Well, I think that's what important for us, as we always say when we go to any of these events in which there's opportunities for us to lobby, is we're not asking for people to give us any handouts. The people here in Donegal and the businesses here in Donegal, as Tony says, are very resilient. They've had a lot of ups and downs over a longer time than even I would know of, but that as long as the region is brought up to a level that's of a standard to everybody else, and then we're just left to it. Really, what we want is we want to take care of any of the historical issues that are in place. As you say, infrastructure, not necessarily the physical, but just everything. With regard to having the schooling, health, different things like that as well. That once we're given a fair playing field, we're good to go.
We were calling it, I suppose, one of the things we've been using, the term we've been using is enabling investment. So if we got what we were sort of entitled to, I suppose, over the years. And brought up to a level, as Vanilla said, we believe that this place can fly. You know, there's lots of stuff. I would go back a wee bit of infrastructure and say we do need our infrastructure to get us in and out. You know, the road to Dublin, all of that kind of stuff. A5.
Oh, it's important.
And the 10T. You know, we'll keep on batting that drum until such times as it started.
What was the feedback from business through with the traffic issues and stuff? Because there were, you know, like, it's a tough one from in this chair, right? Because if you've got, you know, 12, 13, 14,000 people feeling they're being discommoded, you can't ignore that voice, but at the same time you have to ensure that you're not amplifying it to the point where it's damaging to Letterkenny in and of itself. Businesses seemed not to be as concerned maybe as commuters were with the traffic disruptions.
I think, Greg, to be fair, see that first week of Polestar being turned on, it was tight. It was, and we had businesses, large companies phoning us to say what's going on and who's going to manage the staff being late and everything. But actually after that it calmed down pretty well. There's still, Letterkenny's at capacity in terms of how we move around it.
The road infrastructure's max.
Yes, it is, and everybody would agree that. I suppose I always say have a bit of patience. You know, we will get through. And the thing with the traffic light seems to be you'll get through, as opposed to you'll sit there for the last. I mean, like, even the council put the cards on the table. They said, look at, and for the reasons you've just outlined, we're not really likely to make anyone's experience quicker. That's not what this is about. This is about managing the traffic that's there, because you can't reduce the amount of vehicles, and until such time as we get the infrastructure that you talked of, this is the hands we're dealt with at the moment. I would suggest that over Christmas there was very much less locking up than there had been in other previous years that I used to see. I suppose where our office is, you can see it locking. So there was one day and a few weekends where it just got a bit tight. But it's Christmas, and if we were sitting here going there wasn't any traffic at Christmas, we were in.
I know some people that they moan like they don't want anyone else to be using the road except them. You know what I mean? At the particular time that they choose to use it.
At the end of the day,
I'm not talking about listeners here either.
And at the end of the day, you know, some of us go to other places. Dublin, for example, I had to go down. I was in Dublin a lot more last year than I have been before, and I'm sitting in traffic for a good half an hour in between trying to get into the city centre. So Letterkenny actually isn't as bad as that, and I'm not belittling it, but I you know, I come in the 4-lane road every single day. And
in terms of
the nice thing is, can I just say this? The nice thing is I can go home that road every single day, whereas I used to maybe go off and do a little back road.
I take it just off the back of a couple of comments, the Chamber is actively campaigning and making representations on the new bridge, or the 10T more generally speaking.
It's the 10T, generally speaking, because it's a package. It's gone to government as a package. My understanding is that I would hope that before any election is called, or local elections even, that it would get a positive response from government fairly quickly in this quarter.
Fionnuala, how long is left in your term now?
Oh, just until the end of February.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Wow, so that year flew in, didn't it?
I know, it did. It went very fast, really, yeah. So by the end of February now, we will have a new president. So it's been a great year. I've really enjoyed it. It's been fantastic. I definitely recommend to people, you know, business people out there, even people who are thinking of setting up a business, to contact the Chamber and you know, one, in ways that we can help you and engage with us, but two, to even think about ways in which you might be able to help the Chamber as well. You know, we're always looking for new members. It's good to have fresh voices coming in and you know, talking about what they feel that they need, or
and there has been great growth in membership over the last
it's been absolutely tremendous. We've hit you know, record-breaking figures for ourselves, so we're just delighted with it. But I think we can always accept more people. We're always happy to have more people, and plus we're always happy to have more people involved in, you know, in the board. And if you don't feel able to take on a commitment to the board, which even it's not a huge commitment, but if you feel that might be a step too much for you, but that you can contact us and become part of our committees. You know, we do a lot of social stuff as well as doing events with our members. We also do we'll have the St. Patrick's Day parade now, it'll be coming up. in
so
March.
Soon,
That's
actually.
the first one.
How the year goes in bite-sized chunks. It actually is.
It is amazing to think that's planning that's going to be starting tonight. Is our first meeting back, and that's going to be one of the main things that'll start. Is when are the dates, or what are we doing, and when do people have to have applications in? It's amazing how quickly it comes around.
It really is.
But the Chamber's involved in a lot of stuff, and I think that it's good for people to get involved to. Come on board and engage with us. Yeah, and just see what it is that we do.
Some brilliant stuff. Tony Forrester, CEO of Letterkenny Chamber, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much.
And also Fionnuala Rabbit, President of Letterkenny Chamber. Lovely to see you back in studio again. We'll be back with more after these.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com.
The 9 till noon show brought to you by Kelly's Toyota. With over 45 years of experience, trust us to help you on your electric journey.
Oh, Kira, congratulations. Look at her tiny fingers. She's beautiful, just like her mammy.
Oh, thank you.
Have you got a name yet?
Well, we're thinking.
She's going to call her Brooklyn. Brooklyn, Massachusetts, Phoenix, Arizona.
Your vote is your voice. So if you don't speak up, someone else is deciding for you.
Baltimore, Kentucky, Murphy O'Neill.
Who's that?
Hospital porter. Just back from his American road trip.
Make sure you're registered to vote. Go to checktheregister.ie and be a voter so that it's your voice that's heard. From Comisiún Tábhachtán, Ireland's Independent Electoral Commission.
Oh, Brookie must juicy come to Auntie Hannah.
Join me, Marty Friel, this and every Friday night from 8 for Rocking Hits on Highland Radio in association with Arena 7 Letterkenny. If you're celebrating a birthday or a work night out, Arena 7 Entertainment Complex has it all. Check out arena7.ie.
For day-to-day healthcare needs, generations have trusted the experienced staff at McGee's Chemist Letterkenny. From coughs and colds to aches and pains, from vitamin supplements to first aid essentials. McGee's have what you need when you need it, with a full prescription service available daily. McGee's Chemist, Main Street, Letterkenny. For healthcare help and advice you can always trust.
The Restex Beds and Furniture Winter Sale is now in full swing at their showroom at the Mountaintop in Letterkenny, supplying only the finest quality, luxurious Irish-made beds and mattresses with genuine savings throughout the range. We look forward to seeing you at the Restex Beds and Furniture Winter Sale.
It's the sale of the century at Milford Tiles. Unbelievable deals now on. 20% off all tiles and bathware in store. Free standard underlay with all wooden floors. Fitters and delivery service available. That's Milford Tiles. Big January sale now on. Call 083 091 0707.
The 9 till noon show brought to you by Kelly's Toyota Port Road, Letterkenny. Stockists of a wide range of used passenger and commercial vehicles.
Get the power to save even more money for back to school with Tesco Club Cards round and down prices. Get 3 for €5 on over 40 products, including selected Denny Irish Carved Ham and Glenisk Organic Kids Vanilla Yogurt 4-pack. Plus, get Capri Sun Orange 10-pack was €4.99, now €2. Don't forget, you can now turn Club Card points to vouchers in a Zap in our app. The power to lower prices. Tesco. Every little helps. Products subject to availability. Prices vary in express stores.
The McDonald's Saver Meal Deals have it all, like the classic cheeseburger Saver Meal Deal, including medium fries and a drink for just €6, or the delicious double cheeseburger meal deal, which is twice as nice for just €7. But there's more. For €6, you can get the mouth-watering mayo chicken meal deal and a delicious bun. Phew. I'm talking so fast because we all like getting our money's worth. And that's why I've only got 20 seconds to tell you about the McDonald's Saver Meal Deals. From 11 a.m, not available on delivery.
If you need advice on what's best for coughs or colds, or what's best for sore throats or flu, just ask at your local Brennan's Pharmacy. If you need advice on the best vitamins and tonics to put a pep in your step, just ask at your local Brennan's Pharmacy. Whether it's about backaches, headaches or tummy aches, your Brennan's Pharmacy team can help. If you need advice from someone you trust, we're here for you at your local Brennan's Pharmacy, Buncrana, Clonmany and Creeslow.
iMotors are your main Nissan dealership in the Northwest, a trusted Japanese brand for generations. Contact iMotors to find out why people who make the move to Nissan never change. To check out our 2-for-1 offers, visit imotors.ie.
Highland Radio weather weather updates brought to you by Grant. Building a new home? Choose Grant's A++ rated Airona air to water heat pump and Uflex underfloor heating. Visit grant.ie.
Okay, cloud will gradually break up as we head into the afternoon with some good sunny spells developing, staying mainly dry too with easterly breezes, but it's still rather cold. Temperatures struggling to reach highs of just 2 to 4 degrees, staying mainly dry, but it'll be very cold tonight as skies clear and winds fall light. Temperatures will fall to -3 to 0 degrees with widespread frost and some icy patches, so extra careful if we're out and about in the morning. We're joined on the programme now by Councillor Micheál Colm Gallinaspa. Good morning to you. Thank you for joining us. It's good to have you on board. Okay.
Thank you.
We are talking about road safety here, particularly in certain conditions. What happened yesterday?
Well, this is unfortunately an ongoing story since I've been elected as a councillor in 2014. Yesterday, a young father was dropping off his kids at a school, and after just dropping them off, up the road he went to get on with his business. And the road in particular we're talking about is Minnenuller, and he slid on non-gritted road, and the van that he was driving coped in the middle of the road, not in the field or in the ditch or anything, but in the middle of the road itself. This is a road that is probably one of the main arteries coming from, I suppose, Dunluikia, got to Highkit, that direction into Gweedore. It's an extremely busy road in relation to a number of reasons. There's Gillespie's Quarries there, there's James Call, there's Noel Kelly or Declan Kelly, and there's a lot of other businesses. There's Irish Gweedore, the old folks' home. We have schools there. We have Nowdock there. We have the funeral home there. We have the Chaffhubble, the chapel, the Catholic chapel there. A number of housing estates. It's an extremely busy road, but unfortunately it's graded as a secondary road. Now, the surface of the road, there's no doubt about it. There's been work done, and thanks to the council over this last number of years on it. But what the problem here is, which is a number of things. First and foremost is the fact that this road is not on a gritting programme. And since I got elected as a councillor, and just to be very clear about this here, I'm not the only one that's been raising this, but since I got elected as a councillor in 2014, there has been other roads that we were successfully able to work alongside the community, who put in a huge amount of work in making sure that their own community was looked after in terms of the gritting. And one of them I was very proud to work on and get on the list was Rannafarsta and over Lunya and heading over Kirkfalla. And it's really important that we organise for this Minnenuller Road as well to get it on the gritting programme, because if you have people who are delivering maybe in Shoppa, Valoy or Divicki or any of them shops down in Derrybugga, that's the main road that the deliveries come. So it's an extremely busy road, and it's not acceptable in 2014 that we don't have it on a gritting programme.
Can it go on a gritting programme if the will is there, or because of the status of the road, it being a secondary road, it can't be gritted?
No, it can. It's down to a number of things. First and foremost, what it's down to is if the Fianna Fáil Gael government would adequately fund our council. If they would fund us in a manner that we need to run our county.
We can't grit
No, you can't. Absolutely, and I appreciate that you can't grit every road, and so does the public. The public very much recognises that. But what we do recognise is that the roads that are extremely busy are roads that are extremely important to us as a community, needs to be on a gritting programme. It's not acceptable that we have a road that we have the main church in the area, we have the main school in the area, we have Addis Gweedore, we have housing estates, we have a huge number of businesses in the area, and just the general community itself who are working day in out trying to get to work and farm on the road and so on, that it's not on a gritting programme. Anybody that knows West Donegal will know the Minnenuller Road, and what we need is, like I said, that the Fianna Fáil from the Gael government to adequately fund us so that we can actually buy the additional vehicles, like more lorries to give us the more capacity, because even though that, and some were saying the other day that, well, the yard is up the road from this very spot, and yes, the yard is, Council Yard is up the road from it, but it's far more complex. The Gritton programme is quite a complex mathematical
Where you start,
I don't have the terminally
I know what you mean. Where you start, where you can go, when you run out of grit, how you get back.
Crossover, the mountain, and our staff do fantastic work, and the staff who goes out and risks their own safety and during frosty times to make sure that roads, because they're driving on non-gritted roads to gritter roads, so you have to recognise that, but it's not acceptable, and we need to move towards getting this road, as other roads like going out to the Mahari, the Mohara, and other roads that needs to go on it, and buying additional lorries would mean, it means then allowing us more capacity lorries, what the capacities, what bigger spreaders, and then the capacity, the ability of our senior staff to calculate where and when and how and all that there is it's second nature to them.
I mean, obviously, the next solution though beyond that's the aim is having grit available for locals if they choose to spread it. Have you not been able to secure that during your tenure in the council?
Well, yes, we do. Generally, what happens, and unfortunately, to what I could see yesterday, there was no grit left on the side of the road, and generally there is grit left on the sides of the roads. There is a programme there for any community that wishes to come up to the council yard and pick up grit. Granted, there are a case where maybe people don't have that ability or capacity, so generally there are grit left on the side of the road, and the community is quite good to spread it. But that said, we have a community, and I'm not, God, there'll be people listening to me on Minnenulla now, not going to be happy with what I'm going to say, but we have an ageing population in West Donegal, and it's not acceptable that we are expected at a certain age to go out on the road and start spreading grit. What we need to be in a position on roads that are key infrastructure roads that are important to our community needs to be on a gritting programme.
Surely roads should be gritted based on the amount of traffic and facilities and amenities in the area, rather than sort of their status. You know, when it turns into sort of like an auction, then when it comes up for discussion annually. I mean, the busiest roads and roads that have a certain level of traffic and amenities should be gritted by default. It shouldn't be something we have to bang a drum about, surely. Would that not be a better way to look at it?
Yes, I fully agree with you, Greg, absolutely. And if you look at that road to Minnenulla, and if you look at the footfall that's on that road, it's absolutely massive. Even our staff going to work to Addiscadore, our staff going up to Donegal Shores, our staff going up to James Calls or to Gillespie's Quarry or wherever the staff are going, or people coming and going to their own homes, it's a massive, massive footfall. And yes, the main artery would be to head down Cosclagy, come around one big over by Derrybeg, but that's not the way things happen. The way things are happening, that people look for the shortest route, and that's understandable. That's why we invested as a council in quite a lot of money over the last X amount of years to give it a good service that it has. Now, there's other works that needs to be done on that road in terms of there's pinch points that needs to be widened because you have to slow down at certain points to allow all the cars to pass, and if there's two lorries passing, well, that's just a stop and wait till we see how we get on here. So there's a lot of work that needs doing that the community demands, and I use the word demand because it is, after all, our community, and they have every right to demand that the proper investment is invested into the community, considering the fact that our roads infrastructure had been very, very poorly over many years, but there has been a huge investment done by the senior staff in West Donegal to make sure that we're using back over Tarrantship.
Okay. Well, we have to leave it there, Councillor. Thanks for your time today. Happy New Year to you.
Bye-bye. Happy New Year.
Bye-bye. Okay, that is Councillor Micheál Colm-McGann-Asperg. If you use that road or affected by it, let us know. 086 60 25,000. Does anyone know how to register a card for One for All? This is a different initiative. I've tried to spend it, but because it's not registered, I can't use it. This is very unfair. How do you do it? How do you go about doing it? I've not done that. I went to London mid-80s with one suitcase and £200 in my pocket. I worked full-time, and in the evening, after working all day, worked in 2 different pubs over the weekends. I saved hard, and in 1993, I bought my first home with my boyfriend. I would never have done that if I had sat back and listened to what was on the media. As that time, when I bought, the interest rates were through the roof. My point is, if you want something badly enough, knuckle down, work hard, and you will get there. It might take a bit longer, but anyway. All right, just time for a brief conversation with Fine Gael Councillor Johnny McGuinness. And we're not talking about politics in this instance, Johnny. We're talking about your family business. Tell us what happened there over the last while.
Greg, well, I woke this morning to a phone call just after 6 o'clock from one of my senior management who had come into work and discovered that we had been broken into. And she was afraid to proceed into the building at that time, and I told her to just hang tight, and I made my way over there as quickly as I could. I got there a few minutes later, and it was obvious then that there had been extensive damage done to the rear of the building, of the shop, and entry had been gained. A number of doors had been kicked down into storage areas where high-value goods were stored, and the place had been ransacked from top to bottom, basically. And the contents had been taken, along with quite a large amount of single-packet cigarettes from the shop itself also.
So do you believe the culprits would have to have been on site for a period of time, or there had to be a number of them? In other words, it's likely, surely, that someone saw something.
Well, it would seem like they may have been... They may have been afraid of somebody having seen them, because they seem to have left in quite a hurry, because they didn't take all of the goods from the shop area from behind the counter. So I'm not sure if that was by coincidence, or if, I mean, sometimes if a car pulls up there at the junction, they're looking straight in. You know, the headlights come straight into the shop, so they might have thought they'd been rumbled and had to make a quick getaway. But either which way, they didn't go empty-handed, and there was, from what I can see, there was 3 of them at least. I believe that there's, from inquiries that I've been making, and from there's been a number of other burglaries in the area of recent, and even last night, a farmyard in proximity to us here had also some goods stolen, and it looks like possibly some of those tools and posts and things have been used here on site here at our own premises to gain access into our business here.
Right. Okay. So the damage is significant. The loss extensive.
The damage is the damage. You can always fix the damage. It's the high value of the goods that have been stolen. It's a blow that no business can take, and certainly businesses in rural Donegal like ourselves. So we're trying our best to maintain an existence and to preserve the jobs that are in place for the community, and preserve the service that we've given here as a family for decades, for over 100 years. It's very upsetting to think that there's people out there that are profiting on the misery of others, and they're putting all those jobs at risk for ourselves and for any other businesses that have been burgled and targeted over the last 18 months. I believe this gang are acting in the area here. We've had a spate of burglaries in different towns of late, and I think they're opportunistic to start off with, and then obviously they come across high value targets then throughout their night. But somewhere between, I think we had noises reported by a neighbour here at around 4:50 a.m. and another neighbour heard voices sometime between 3:30 and 4. I've had calls about a car being seen in by Jackson's Lane, which is a sort of a dead end road just outside the village, and I've been having calls coming in from the public, which I'm very grateful for all the calls that are coming in. I put a post up on Facebook earlier seeking any information that might be pertinent to the case, and I would ask you to do the same. If you could ask anybody to reach out with any tidbit of information, how ever so meaningless it might appear to them, it could be the missing link for ourselves to piece together exactly what's going on here.
Okay.
And we do have a definite line of inquiry, and we have a couple of vehicles of interest, and we will be garnering footage from shops in the vicinity that think they may have dealt with these people in the hours leading up to it last night.
Okay, there's a lot of info to be working through. Johnny McGuinness, listen, thank you for your time this morning. Sorry for what you and the family are going through there. We'll be back with you tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. But stay tuned. Michaela's going to join you now with the news at 12:05. And after that, it's Around the Northwest with John Bresson. But as I say from me, Greg Hughes and the team, we'll chat to you tomorrow morning at 9.
Thanks, Greg.